From a blind date came a sister who is a CEO. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 751, Seeking Spider. Stop it! Mao Nan shouted. Su Weifeng was completely immersed in his own state and did not respond to his words at all. Before Mao Nan could stop him, Su Weifeng had already pinched the needle in his left hand and quickly pierced the top of Mr. Mao's head. Mr. Mao's body twitched, and everyone was scared and thought that Su Weifeng had hurt him. Brother Feng will definitely be able to do it. You will only disturb him if you go over now. Feng Bao stood in front of the Mao family, looking at the people in front of him with sharp eyes. Seeing that things had come to this point, Mao Nan also made up his mind to give it a try. Now that the needle has been inserted, it is too late to pull it out. However, if something really happens to the old man, HMPH, these two young people will be buried with him. Mao Nan is not a kind person to have reached his current status in the Mao family. Su Weifeng carefully controlled the silver needle and suddenly inserted the silver needle fiercely. It seemed that it was about to go to the bottom, which caused a burst of exclamations from the people around him. Mr. Mao trembled again, and blood began to flow along the silver needle. Damn, it's going to kill someone. How can acupuncture be inserted so deep, and with such a thick needle? Don't mess around, kid. Master Hua screamed. He was scared, not to mention the Mao family. This doctor is a killer, right? He was about to step forward to stop it. At this time, Su Weifeng suddenly pulled out the silver needle, and a line of blood shot out. Su Weifeng quickly grabbed the top of Mr. Mao's head with his right hand, and then casually picked up an empty glass on the table beside him, and threw the thing in his hand into the glass. Then he put his hand on Mr. Mao's head, and used his true ki to help him stop the bleeding. Under the healing effect of the true ki, the top of Mr. Mao's head soon stopped bleeding, and began to scab. Boy, what do you think? Mao Nan said viciously. It's okay now. I found this in the old man's head. Now I just need to get it out. Su Weifeng pointed to the glass and said casually. Mao Nan grabbed the glass and looked at it hard, but he didn't see anything. Mao Chen, Mao Yang and others also gathered around, but still couldn't see anything. You're playing tricks on us. Mao Nan was about to get angry. Ah, it seems something is moving. Mao Yang suddenly shouted and pointed to a location. Everyone's attention was focused on the location of Mao Yang's finger. This time they saw something. They saw a millet-sized, almost transparent thing slowly moving. Everyone almost put their eyes on the glass, and then they saw that it was a millet-sized spider, and it was transparent. No wonder they hadn't seen it before. Boy, you are using a trick of the underworld, and you dare to come here to fool everyone. Master Hua shouted loudly. You got a spider and ran to my Mao family to cheat, thinking that my Mao family is easy to mess with, right? Come on. Mao Nan shouted loudly, and 3 bodyguards came in from outside the door. Su Shen doctor may have really taken it out from Grandpa's head. Mao Yang whispered to defend Su Weifeng. In fact, he didn't dare to believe it was true, but he brought Su Weifeng here, and he didn't want Su Weifeng to get into trouble. Ahem. Before Mao Nan could let the bodyguard take action, a cough made everyone sluggish. Grandpa Mao on the bed slowly sat up, took a deep breath, and looked at the people in the room in a daze. Why are you here? Where am I? Grandpa Mao found that this was not his home, and asked in confusion. Dad, how do you feel? Mao Nan was very excited, and said in a trembling voice. What do you mean? I just slept and felt a little pain on the top of my head. Grandpa Mao rubbed his head and it really hurt. It was because Su Weifeng pierced it. Su Shen doctor really cured Grandpa. Su Shen doctor is really amazing. Mao Yang shouted excitedly. What's going on? Am I sick? Grandpa Mao was very confused. Mao Nan told Mr. Mao about his situation. Mr. Mao suddenly fainted half a month ago, and then he never woke up. Su Weifeng finally used a silver needle to wake Mr. Mao up. He told him the whole story. Mr. Mao felt like he was listening to a story, and he felt like he had just had a good sleep. At this time, Mr. Mao thought about it carefully and found that he could not remember anything before he went to bed. In addition, it seemed that there was something in his brain in his dream, and it wanted to eat him. He was scared just thinking about it. Mr. Su, thank you for saving me. What disease do I have? Is it because of this spider? Mr. Mao Nan said politely to Su Weifeng. Although he was polite, he did not completely believe Su Weifeng in his heart and wanted to hear his explanation. Before I tell you, let me ask you a question. Did you feel that your memory was getting worse and you were sleepy in the few days before you fainted? Think about it carefully. Su Weifeng wanted to confirm what he was thinking, so he asked first. Mao Nan thought about it, and it seemed that his memory had deteriorated a bit before, and he also loved to doze off during the day. At that time, he thought it was due to his old age. Is this the case? Is it related to my fainting? Mao Nan asked doubtfully. It is indeed related. Now I'm sure that someone deliberately wanted to harm you. Su Weifeng said word by word. After hearing what Su Weifeng said, Mao Nan's expression became solemn. The Mao family must have enemies for their current status. The important members of the family are all assigned full-time bodyguards to protect the safety of the Mao family at all times. If he could be attacked without knowing it, it would be terrible. Old Mao, you are awake. Hearing the noise inside, Uncle Niu and a large group of people at the door ran in. However, except for Uncle Niu and several children who entered the bedroom, the rest of the Mao family were crowded in the living room. Su Weifeng picked up the glass and talked about the origin of the transparent spider inside. This transparent spider is called the seeking spider, and it is not a creature on land, but comes from the deep sea. It feeds on the brains of fish, but it cannot leave the sea, otherwise it will die soon. This seeking spider should have entered your body before it was hatched. After hatching, it was attracted by the food and came to your brain, devouring your brain to make your memory decline and faint. When it devours your brain, it releases a substance to nourish your body, so that your body will not die before eating the food, and the food will not rot. This is probably the situation of your body. As for how you got the infection, I can't do anything. Su Weifeng said. As for how his silver needle got the seeking spider out, Su Weifeng did not elaborate. Everyone knew that this should be Su Weifeng's secret, so they didn't ask much. This seeking spider can't leave the sea. There is no sea near us. I haven't left here recently. How did they make me get the infection? Mao Nan said to himself, after listening to Su Weifeng's words. Chapter 752, Caught in Bed. Yes, and outsiders can't get close to my father. How could they get this spider into my father's body? Mao Nan still didn't quite believe it. I'll give you a hint. The seeking spider can't live without seawater, because seawater contains salt. Has Mr. Mao felt that his meals were particularly salty recently, or has he simply injected saline? Su Weifeng thought about it and had a guess. Is it Dr. Wang? Mao Nan suddenly exclaimed. It turned out that more than half a month ago, when Mao Nan had a fever, Dr. Wang from the family hospital came to give him an fourth drip, using saline. If that's the case, it's feasible. Hurry up and get Dr. Wang. Uncle Niu roared at the living room. Dr. Wang might have done this because of someone's favor, and he must find out who is behind it. Uncle Niu. Dr. Wang resigned half a month ago, the doctor in the room said hurriedly. HMPH, it seems that it is Dr. Wang. We should arrange people to find him now. I want to see who dares to make trouble for our Mao family. Then they will have to bear the wrath of our Mao family. Mao Nan was able to sit in the position of the head of the family. He was not stupid. He immediately determined the root of the problem. The problem was with Dr. Wang. He immediately gave an order. After the order, Uncle Niu turned around and went to arrange the investigation of Dr. Wang. Plop. A sound scared everyone. Master Hua, an old man in tang suit, knelt down and called him master. Although he loved money and was arrogant, he was also a medical geek. He was completely convinced by Su Weifeng's magical brain spider technique. In addition, there was a bet before, so he wanted to become his apprentice directly. Seeing that the old man was not reluctant at all, his face was full of excitement. It is estimated that he would have become his apprentice even without the bet before. Su Weifeng helped Master Hua up. He was also shocked. He thought that Master Hua would find an excuse to refuse. He didn't expect that he knelt so straightforwardly. Seeing an old man kneeling in front of him, Su Weifeng felt embarrassed. Master is just a title. You don't have to kneel. Su Weifeng smiled at Master Hua. That won't do. I'm a real disciple. You have to teach me your medical skills, especially the spider removal just now. Master Hua no longer had the original arrogance. He immediately became a humble and eager to learn student. It's not that I don't teach you, but you can't learn it, even if I teach you. Su Weifeng couldn't help but smile bitterly when he saw that Master Hua was so eager to learn. His medical skills were based on true Qi. Without the support of true Qi, his medical skills would not be so magical. It doesn't matter. Just teach me. If you can't learn it, it's my problem. Master Hua was even more excited when he saw Su Weifeng say this. He almost asked Su Weifeng to teach him immediately. Well, I'll tell you later. Master Mao, now that your illness is cured, you should give me the 100 million yuan for treatment. Su Weifeng said to Mao Nan. He wanted to take the money and go home with Feng Bao. 100 million? My life is really valuable, haha. Mao Nan was stunned and laughed. Mr. Su will have to pay for the medical treatment. It's too late today. Let's do a full body check for the old man tomorrow. If there is no problem, we will call Mr. Su immediately. Mao Nan said seriously. Su Weifeng didn't take it seriously. This small amount of money was not enough to default on the debt, and it was understandable that the old man Mao wanted to check it, so he agreed. Su Weifeng and Feng Bao were arranged to rest in the villa of Mao Yang's family. Master Hua also wanted to go with him, but was rejected by the Mao family. In the end, he left his contact information and contacted Su Weifeng after going to Yangcheng. The Mao family will not default on the debt, right? This is 100 million yuan. Feng Bao, who was lying on the bed in the guest room of the Mao family at night, was looking at Su Weifeng and said with some concern. Not really. 100 million may be an astronomical figure for ordinary people, but it's nothing for the family. Su Weifeng didn't care. I forgot that you are worth billions now. This is really a small amount of money, but I value it. If you don't like it, you can give it to me. Feng Bao hugged Su Weifeng's arm with shining eyes. Then I'll give it to you. It's a consolation prize for your stomach. Su Weifeng said with a smile. Feng Bao won him billions in that game. At that time, he wanted to give some to Feng Bao, but she didn't want it. It's nothing to give her this medical expenses. I'm kidding you. I don't want it. That's the medical expenses you earned. Besides, why do I need so much money? I don't know how to spend it. Feng Bao said with a smile. Let me see the spider again. See if it's dead. Feng Bao suddenly remembered the spider that Su Weifeng put in the saline bottle for drip and brought back. Feng Bao likes strange things and wants to take it back to keep. Don't worry, it won't die. It's soaked in salt water. When you go back, give it the brain. When you eat the duck head, it will be enough for a while. Then how did you get it out with the silver needle? Is it because of the internal force you mentioned? Su Weifeng told Feng Bao before that he used internal force to treat her. Now that the two have been together for a long time and have experienced a lot, Su Weifeng didn't want to lie to her, so he told her that this is true Qi, which is not something that everyone can practice. Sure enough, Feng Bao sat up immediately after hearing the things in the novel and pulled Su Weifeng to teach her. Su Weifeng had expected this result long ago and taught her the most basic method of meditation. If you can generate a sense of Qi and sense the Qi around you, you can practice the next step. Feng Bao was like a treasure and immediately immersed in meditation. In less than 10 minutes, a slight snoring sound came and Feng Bao fell asleep and she slept particularly well today. Su Weifeng smiled. If he had known to teach her earlier, he wouldn't have to torture him at night. Su Weifeng's phone suddenly rang with a video invitation. He picked it up and saw that it was Lin Zhuangsun. He had only sent a few messages to Lin Zhuangsun when he had nothing to do these days. He also missed Lin Zhuangsun a little, but as soon as he answered the phone, he remembered something was wrong. This camera could not only see himself, but also Feng Bao who was sleeping soundly next to him. Su Weifeng felt a little embarrassed, although he knew that Lin Zhuangsun wanted to build a harem for him. Who is on your bed? Why is there a woman? Tell the truth quickly. Have you developed a new person? Lin Zhuangsun squinted and smiled. Su Weifeng was afraid of waking up Feng Bao, so he went to the bathroom and said, "Isn't that Feng Bao? Oh, You guys are doing well, right? Lin Zhuangxuan's eyes lit up and said excitedly. You think too much. Feng Bao and I have never been in that state. Su Weifeng rolled his eyes. What kind of girlfriend is this? She always hopes that he can pick up more girls outside. Su Weifeng told Lin Zhuangxuan what happened in the past few days and said that he was waiting for the medical fee today and should be able to go back the next day or the day after tomorrow. Lin Zhuangxuan was completely speechless about Su Weifeng's speed of making money. This was not making money, it was not as fast as a money printing machine. I think Feng Bao is good, she is carefree and has a good figure. If you can get into that state with her, just accept her. Feng Bao was not angry. She had an attitude that the more girlfriends Su Weifeng had, the better. Anyone who had such a girlfriend would be so happy. Chapter 753 Returning the property to its original owner. Zhuangxuan, I have you guys, and besides, there is nothing between Feng Bao and me, and we don't have that kind of feeling, so there is no need to force it. Su Weifeng said seriously. You think I want it? I just want to be with you too, and no one can come to snatch you from me. But I can't be so selfish. As long as you can survive, I can do anything. Lin Zhuangxuan said affectionately, thinking that Su Weifeng suddenly disappeared at some point. Her heart would ache, and she was too flustered to dare to think about it. Su Weifeng was moved by Lin Zhuangxuan. If he was just an ordinary person, he would really like to stay with Lin Zhuangxuan, but he didn't have this right. His life belonged to the country, and he couldn't live up to the country's cultivation of him. The two chatted for a while, and Lin Zhuangxuan was tired at the company, so he said goodnight and hung up the phone. Alas, what debt is the hardest to pay? The debt of love. The next morning, after breaking free from Feng Bao's bear hug, Su Weifeng went to the bathroom to wash up, waiting to get the money today. Although this little money didn't mean much to him, it was also earned by himself. Mao Yang and Mao Chen were both there at breakfast in the morning, and Su Weifeng did not mention the medical fee. Old man Mao's examination must not have been completed this morning. There was still no movement until the evening, and Feng Bao could not hold her temper. At dinner, she asked Mao Yang when he could pay. Mao Chen was not at home for dinner today, only Mao Yang was there. Mao Yang was embarrassed by the question. He did not know what was going on. According to his idea, he would just pay the money when his grandfather recovered, but the family had not made any move yet. Seeing Mao Yang's attitude, Su Weifeng knew that he did not know what was going on either, so he did not make it difficult for him. After dinner, Su Weifeng and Feng Bao returned to the bedroom. It seems that the Mao family has some ideas. Feng Bao said coldly. Humph, 100 million is not much, but I should not miss a penny I deserve. Su Weifeng also sneered. How are you going to do it? Feng Bao's eyes lit up. They were going to take action, which made people excited just thinking about it. At 12 o'clock in the evening, everyone in the villa had gone to bed. Su Weifeng and Feng Bao sneaked out of the villa quietly. Since they came here temporarily, their luggage was still in the previous hotel, so it was very convenient to move. Feng Bao and Su Weifeng came to the suburban hospital yesterday. Old man Mao had just woken up and would not be discharged immediately. The hospital was still brightly lit at more than 12 o'clock. With Su Weifeng's skills, it was easy for him to get in without being noticed. It would not be a problem if he took Feng Bao with a little attention. The two of them used the time difference to successfully avoid the patrolling security personnel on each floor and came to the previous ward. Su Weifeng listened carefully and heard faint voices coming from inside. It sounded like it was in the bedroom inside. Su Weifeng slowly turned the door outside. Fortunately, the door was not locked, otherwise he would have to spend more time. I heard that the boy's girlfriend asked to come today. Mao Nan's voice came. It seems that they can't wait. Mao Nan snorted. Mao Nan, Leoniu, what do you think? Mao Nan said. Old Mao, after all, that guy saved your life. Why don't we have a frank talk with him, explain our current situation clearly, and then make an agreement with them? When our family recovers, we will give them the principal and interest together. A strong voice sounded. It was Uncle Niu. We can't give it to them. If we had given it to them before, we would have given it to them. Now, because of my father's coma, several families have begun to exclude us and suppress us economically. Our working capital has been used to fight a trade war with them. If we withdraw 100 million at this time, we will be seriously injured. Mao Nan, the eldest brother of the Mao family, said. Mao Nan, yes, I'm not wrong about you. A real man should not be fussy about trivial matters. He can do anything for the family. Mao Nan was satisfied with Mao Nan. This was exactly what he thought. Two young people, who were outsiders, could not do anything to him in his own territory. If he did not give it to him, he would have to admit defeat. Uncle Niu has always followed Mao Nan's lead. Seeing that Mao Nan said so, he did not say anything. It's settled. If that guy comes to ask for money, we'll just drag him. If he can't drag it anymore, we'll just say we don't have money. See what he can do to us. This is Ka City, our territory. He dare not rob us. And it's all a verbal agreement. What can he do if we don't acknowledge it? Mao Nan was very satisfied with his plan and refused to acknowledge it. With a creak, the door opened a crack and Su Weifeng came in with Feng Baoer. Su Weifeng looked at Mao Nan and the others with a sinister smile. Why are you here? It's so late. Mao Nan said in an unhappy voice, trying to suppress Su Weifeng with his momentum. We don't have anything to do. We just came to ask when the medical expenses will be paid. Su Weifeng looked normal, as if he hadn't heard their conversation just now. The money you should pay will naturally be given to you, but what do you want to do by coming in uninvited and sneaking in? Mao Nan asked sternly. You don't want to default on your debt, do you? You can't drag me down. Although we have a verbal agreement and there is no proof, no one dares not to return my Su Weifeng's things. Su Weifeng's voice became colder and colder, and his eyes became sharper, which was very different from the previous miracle doctor. Gods and demons were only a thought away. Munan and Munan both felt the oppression coming from Su Weifeng. Uncle Niu felt it even more strongly than them. He was also a master. He felt a murderous aura and a sense of oppression from Su Weifeng. This kind of oppression can only be felt by the weak facing the strong. Uncle Niu himself had no strength to fight in front of this young man, and even under oppression, he couldn't muster the courage to fight. Munan also saw Uncle Niu's panic, which he had never seen before. Even if he met a strong enemy, Uncle Niu would face it calmly, but today this old partner was obviously panicked, and he felt even more terrified when he looked at Su Weifeng. Someone come. Mao Nan also knew that Su Weifeng was definitely not here with good intentions, so he was going to call for help. The elite of the Mao family were all in the building, so there would be no accidents. He was very confident in the strength of the Mao family, but he stopped abruptly after just a few words. Su Weifeng had never thought of solving the problem by force. When he came here, he directly took out a glass bottle. This was a glass bottle for drips, which contained ordinary liquid. Su Weifeng shook it gently. Mao Nan and the others recognized it. This was the one that Su Weifeng used to hold the seeking spider when he left that day. They all looked at Su Weifeng in horror. I got the 100 million medical fee by taking it out. Since you are not going to give me this consultation fee, I will return it to its original owner. It is an equal exchange, fair and reasonable. Su Weifeng said as he walked towards the bed with the glass bottle. No, I'll pay. When Su Weifeng was one step away from the bed, Mao Nan was scared. This little spider eats brains. Imagine that bloody scene, especially when he is the protagonist, he shouted immediately. Chapter 754 Encounter. Quick, take it away. Mao Nan also shouted in fear. Uncle Niu was still blocking the bed at this time. He was relieved to see that Mao Leo had compromised. If Su Weifeng wanted to harm Mao Leo, he would be the first to take action, even if he knew that he might be sending himself to death. It would be simpler if it was done earlier. You made us run a trip at night and delayed my beauty sleep. Feng Bao snorted. You go back first. I will ask the finance department to transfer the money to you tomorrow morning. This time it must be correct. Mao Nan vowed. Okay, if you play tricks with me again, I won't be so polite. Bao, let's go. Su Weifeng said with a sneer, and then pulled Feng Bao and jumped out of the window. This is the 7th floor. Mao Nan and Uncle Niu immediately ran to the window. This kid wouldn't be too proud and stupid, but it was obviously not the case. At this time, there was no trace of Su Weifeng and Feng Bao downstairs. At this time, Mao Nan also got out of bed to watch. The three of them stared at each other in shock. It was possible to climb down from the 7th floor. Many people could do it, but 2 people jumped directly. What kind of monster is this? Are we really going to pay tomorrow? Mao Nan whispered, really afraid that Su Weifeng would suddenly open the door and come in again. What if we don't pay? Even if there is no spider, do you think we can deal with him? Mao Nan smiled bitterly, and the fear in his heart had not completely dissipated. Several people are now relaxed. When you have the ability to fight against the other party, no one wants to surrender directly, but when the strength between you and the enemy is too different, you don't hesitate. Either surrender or die. Brother Feng, are you a cultivator? It's okay to jump down from the 7th floor. Can you jump higher? Take me to try next time. Feng Bao looked at Su Weifeng with admiration. This man is too strong. It can be said to be magical. When she was pulled down by Su Weifeng just now, she was still in a daze and subconsciously did not resist. But when she jumped out of the window, her heart suddenly lifted up. However, Su Weifeng held her and lifted her from time to time, so she landed lightly on the ground, just like jumping from the 2nd floor. This is a little trick of using true ki. A more scientific explanation is to use the ki under your body to form a reaction force, which can reduce the speed of falling. However, it is not possible to do it at a too high distance. The faster the acceleration, the smaller the force of the true ki. Su Weifeng thought about it and explained it in a simple way. Like many Kigen masters nowadays, they also have a sense of ki, but most of them are internal force, which is still a little bit worse than true ki. Is it like that master who can fly with a touch on the internet? Then he must have true ki. Feng Bao suddenly remembered the video she had seen on the internet before. The effect was really comparable to American blockbusters. Just treat it as a joke. Su Weifeng also knew that video, and he couldn't help laughing when he thought about it. I knew it was fake. Our police force studied the video for a while, and some people actually believed it. They were really stupid. This kind of Kigen is not entirely fake, but some of it is a bit too exaggerated. Su Weifeng shook his head and laughed. By the way, if we just leave like this, will they give us the money tomorrow? Feng Bao said with some disbelief. Don't worry, I believe the Mao family is not that stupid. What do you think I took you to jump off the building just now? It's just to show them our strength and give them a warning, so that they don't have other ideas and have to lick the trouble for me again. Haha, if that's the case, you will make more money. Feng Bao thought of Su Weifeng's usual style, that is, the more trouble he makes, the more money he gives. The next morning, Su Weifeng and Feng Bao just woke up and saw the transfer record on their mobile phones. It was indeed efficient. It was estimated that the finance department was called to the company to transfer money before work. Let's go buy some local specialties and bring them back. We need to buy some for our parents, and Zhuangxuan and the others need gifts. Su Weifeng was going to fly back to Yangcheng tonight. He had been away for a long time, and Feng Bao's leave was coming up soon. What about me? I need a gift too. Feng Bao's eyes widened when she heard that there was no gift for her. Yes, yes, yes. How can yours be missing? Su Weifeng said hurriedly. That's more like it. Feng Bao snorted. Jinrong department store in Wuxi, the largest shopping mall in Wuxi. Feng Bao was strolling around excitedly with Su Weifeng's arm around her. Today's task was very heavy. There were too many gifts to buy. Shopping was a woman's nature. She was happy to spend money, even if not all of them were for herself. Hey, are you Feng Bao? A man's voice sounded behind her. Feng Bao was a little surprised to hear her name being called. She didn't seem to have any acquaintances here and thought she had called the wrong name. When she looked back, her brows frowned. I saw a man in an Armani suit holding a very beautiful girl in her 20s. Feng Bao knew this man. He was her classmate in college. His name was Yuan Jun. His family was well off. I heard that he was a rich second generation. He chased Feng Bao at that time, but Feng Bao didn't like this at all, so she beat him up. I didn't expect to meet him here. Bao, we are really destined to meet here. Are you here to attend the wedding? Yuan Jun said with a smile. Yes, we are here to attend Fifa's wedding. Feng Bao didn't want to pay attention to Yuan Jun, but after all, they were classmates. There was no conflict except chasing her, so she had to deal with it. I heard that Fifi also found a rich boyfriend. This woman is good. Finding a good boyfriend can change her destiny. Unlike us men, we can only rely on ourselves. I envy her. Yuan Jun said sarcastically. Relying on yourself, it sounds good. You also rely on men, and you rely on your father, Feng Baoer complained in her heart. We just went to Maldives for a tour, and passed by here on our way back. We bought something here. Yuan Jun hugged his girlfriend and said, you guys are here to shop in the mall after attending the wedding, right? The things in this mall are quite expensive. You should go somewhere else. Yuan Jun had seen Su Weifeng a long time ago. He was jealous of his rivals when they met. Moreover, Su Weifeng was dressed very ordinary and did not look like a rich man, so he was even more angry that Feng Bao rejected him. We are also here to shop and bring some gifts to relatives and friends, Su Weifeng said with a smile. He guessed the general idea by looking at Feng Bao's face. This is my boyfriend Su Weifeng, Feng Bao said happily while holding Su Weifeng's arm. This is my girlfriend, who is also our schoolmate. She is now a sophomore, Yuan Jun said proudly. This girlfriend is only a sophomore, several years younger than him, and is also the school belle. He wanted to let Feng Bao know that he could find any beauty he wanted. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 755 Blue Balloon. Why don't we go shopping together? We'll have more people to help us with our shopping. I'll treat you to a good meal at noon. It's rare for us old classmates to meet each other, Yuan Jun said deliberately. He thought that ordinary people like Su Weifeng would definitely not want to go shopping with him. Which man would like to be compared with other men? It would be so embarrassing. Okay, then I'd rather obey you than be respectful. Feng Bao smiled. Seeing Feng Bao agreed, Yuan Jun smiled immediately, staring at Su Weifeng's face to see if he would turn green, but he didn't see it, and cursed him inwardly. Husband, let's go and look at the watch. I've worn this watch for several years. There happens to be a Cartier here. Yuan Jun's girlfriend pointed to a Cartier next to her and said excitedly, come on, let's go in and take a look. I'm thinking of buying a watch. Yuan Jun agreed readily and looked at Feng Bao and Su Weifeng at the same time. There was only one waiter in the store now. There were no customers who were in a daze. Seeing a few people come in, they greeted them enthusiastically. Let me see this blue balloon. Yuan Jun's girlfriend walked around the store and pointed to a classic Cartier model. You have a good eye, beautiful lady. This blue balloon is our classic model, and it is timeless, not tacky, and belongs to the low-key luxury series. Generally, ladies with taste will choose this one. The waiter's sales routine began. Although everyone knows this routine, it still feels very face-saving. Let me take a look. I have heard of this watch a long time ago, but I don't think it's good. Feng Bao also picked up the watch and took a look. The design is quite round, but she really doesn't like to wear a watch with a hot temper. It's not convenient to fight with a watch. It doesn't matter whether it's good or not. Just look at the brand and price. This watch is more than 40,000. Today I will show you a lot. Yuan Jun looked at Su Weifeng and Feng Bao and said disdainfully, this gentleman is right. This blue balloon is not something that everyone can afford. We can't give it to ordinary people who want to see it. Only high-end customers like you can take it out. Otherwise, we can't afford to pay for it if it is damaged. The waitress immediately saw the situation. The two men and two women were not in the same group. She immediately knew which side she should stand on, which side had more money. Does Bao like it? If you like it, I'll buy you one. Su Weifeng said to Bao. Buy another one. This one is more than 40,000 yuan, which is enough for you two to earn in a year. Yuan Jun laughed. He heard that Feng Bao was a policeman. How much money can a policeman make? It's a low-income job. Looking at his boyfriend's dress, he didn't do well. Don't pretend to be rich. My husband is rich. If you buy it back and come back to return it in a few days, then the waiter will have worked in vain. Yuan Jun's girlfriend also laughed at her, and she was very proud of finding a rich boyfriend. When the waitress heard this, her face changed immediately, and she looked at Su Weifeng and Feng Bao warily. There are many customers like this. HMPH, I don't want this watch. We can't afford 40,000. Feng Bao snorted and gritted her teeth. That's right. Being poor is not scary. What's scary is pretending to be rich. Yuan Jun was very satisfied with the reactions of Su Weifeng and Feng Bao. The waiter, pack this watch for me, Yuan Jun said proudly. Seeing that the customer was so happy, the waiter smiled. Soon the waiter gave Yuan Jun a receipt. Yuan Jun's girlfriend immediately put on the new watch and kissed Yuan Jun hard on the face. She was secretly happy that she was still amazing. She found such a rich boyfriend. Her classmates are now studying to buy fake watches. Bao, what do you want to buy for your uncle and aunt? Let's go and have a look, Su Weifeng said to Feng Bao gently. Although he was unhappy with Yuan Jun, he really didn't like the watch. He knew that Feng Bao would not like it either, and didn't want to spend this useless money. Let's go and have a look at jade. Jade is a specialty here, and it's more suitable to buy. Feng Bao thought for a while and said, okay, I also want to buy a piece of jade for my parents. Su Weifeng said happily. Feng Bao and he thought the same thing. Haha, buy a few pieces of jade. The jade here is not cheap. The specialty here is Yushan jade, and the cheap ones you heard are the low-end ones in the wholesale market shops. The jade here is all high-end, and I'm afraid there is no one that is less than 10,000. You can't buy it today, but it just so happens that I want to take a look, Yuan Jun said sarcastically. Wow, I like jade too. Husband, buy me a jade bracelet too. Yuan Jun's girlfriend shook his arm and said coquettishly. Bye, baby, we will buy whatever we like. We are not short of money, Yuan Jun said generously. Feng Bao rolled her eyes. She knew that Yuan Jun was very pretentious because his family was rich. Now that he is older, he has improved and is even more pretentious. Heuxin, an antique jade shop, is the most high-end jade shop in the mall. The decoration style is completely different from other shops. Jade is divided into soft jade and hard jade. Soft jade is China's national jade. Ancient emperors and celebrities all wore this kind of soft jade. Soft jade is headed by Yushan jade, Huanglang jade, etc. Hard jade is jadeite and the like. High-end ones are also valuable, and this store specializes in high-end Yushan jade. As soon as I entered the store, I was invited to the sofa by a middle-aged boss wearing a linen shirt and a star and moon hanging around his neck. He poured kung fu tea and started chatting. What do you want to see? I'll bring it to you and introduce it. The middle-aged boss smiled, but his face was very calm, and he didn't have the flattering attitude of the watch store waiter just now. I want to see the jade bracelet. I want a good one, Yuan Jun's girlfriend said first. The boss didn't get up and take it immediately, but looked at the other people, wanting to see if there was anything else they wanted, and he went to get it together. I want a Buddha pendant. Bring me something good, the kind that can attract wealth, Yuan Jun shouted, and at the same time his eyes intentionally or unintentionally glanced at Su Weifeng and Feng Bao. The boss smiled when he heard Yuan Jun's words, and his heart was full of disdain. He had seen many such people, just like Navo Rish, just vulgar. What do you want, Bao? Su Weifeng said softly. I'll buy a jade bracelet for my mother. I haven't decided for my father yet. Feng Bao frowned and thought about it, but still didn't know what to choose for her father. I also want to show my mother a jade bracelet, and my father will choose a handheld piece for him. You can also show your uncle a handheld piece. Men generally like it, Su Weifeng suggested to Feng Bao. Okay, that's it. Feng Bao's eyes lit up, and she also thought this was a good idea. Seeing that everyone had made up their minds, the boss smiled and stood up to get the things. After a while, he came back with a large rectangular tray covered with red velvet. The arrangement on the tray was very particular. Each type was arranged in a vertical row, with 5 bracelets from top to bottom, 5 handheld pieces from top to bottom, and the same for the Buddha amulets. Yuan Jun's girlfriend was immediately attracted by the jade bracelet on the top. This jade bracelet is as white as sheep fat, warm to the touch, and has very good waterhead. When shining it with a flashlight, there is no flaw at all. It is simply perfect. Yuan Jun's girlfriend couldn't let it go. She put it on her wrist and looked at it up and down, left and right. She didn't want to take it off. Chapter 756. I want them all. Boss, how much is this? Yuan Jun asked somewhat unnaturally. He had seen a lot of Haitian jade, and even an outsider could see that this jade bracelet was definitely expensive. This jade bracelet is the best one in our store, and the price is a little more expensive, 2.1 million. If you like it, take it away for 2 million, which can be regarded as a gift of jade to the destined person. The boss still said calmly, as if he was selling cabbage. When he heard 2 million, Yuan Jun's face turned green. His family was rich, but not a big family. If it was 200,000, he could have bought it for his girlfriend in the morning. Looking at his girlfriend's expectant eyes, Yuan Jun turned his face to the side and pretended not to see it. His girlfriend took off the bracelet angrily and put it back reluctantly. She also knew that Yuan Jun couldn't afford it, and her eyes were full of disappointment. Su Weifeng also picked up the bracelet, looked at it, and nodded with satisfaction, and handed it to Feng Bao. Feng Bao compared it with it, and her eyes were full of little stars, but she still put it back, thinking it was too expensive. How much is this one? It looks pretty good. Yuan Jun picked up the jade bracelet at the bottom. He could see that the tray was arranged very carefully. From top to bottom, the lower it went, the cheaper it was. Even this one at the bottom was a high-end product, but it was not as good as the one worth 2 million. This one is 120,000. The boss said calmly, with a smile on his face. Yuan Jun's face twitched. This was higher than he expected. He just wanted to buy a few tens of thousands for his girlfriend, but he didn't want to invest too much in her. It was just that his girlfriend was not his wife, so he was just playing around. Although Yuan Jun's girlfriend thought this one was not as good as the first one, she liked it more and more when she heard that it was 120,000. She didn't expect Yuan Jun to buy her such an expensive one. It was not bad to buy this one. She looked at Yuan Jun again, her eyes full of expectation. Baby, do you like this? If you like it, buy it. We have money, Yuan Jun said generously. Although Yuan Jun felt distressed, there was Feng Bao, whom he had pursued before, and he couldn't lose face. Fortunately, his girlfriend didn't want to buy the 2 million, otherwise it would be embarrassing. My husband is so nice. Yuan Jun's girlfriend kissed him on the face excitedly. This trip was worth it. Yuan Jun raised his chin proudly to Su Weifeng, and his heart was full of joy. He cursed in his heart, Feng Bao, you should regret it. You rejected me at the beginning. Let's see what your boyfriend can buy for you. He can't buy watches, and he can't afford Haitian jade. A man has to compare with you to know what you have chosen. The boss didn't rush to let Yuan Jun pay. He waited for several people to finish choosing, and then they would check out together to avoid trouble. Boss, you just check out. They just look at it. It's strange that they can afford it. Yuan Jun laughed. People are guests. Jade is about fate, not money. The boss didn't get up because of Yuan Jun's words. He still patiently accompanied Su Weifeng and Feng Bao to choose slowly. Boss, how much are these two handheld pieces? Su Weifeng was very satisfied with the two handheld pieces carved with dragon patterns. The quality was no less than the jade bracelets just now. It happened that his father and Feng Bao's father each got one. How much are two more? These are the best two. You can't buy the cheapest one. You better hold it. If you get scared and drop it on the ground, you can't afford to pay for it. Boss, I have made an agreement. We just know each other. If it breaks, we won't be responsible. Yuan Jun looked at Su Weifeng with contempt, thinking that Feng Bao's boyfriend was really good at pretending and had no self-awareness at all. Young man, you have a good eye. Handheld pieces are very suitable for giving to the elderly. These two are from the same batch, and the price is 1.5 million each. The boss was very interested in this young man. He was not as flamboyant as the other one, and he was calm in the face of danger. From the time he entered the store until now, his expression was so indifferent. Whether he could afford it or not, the boss would not look down on him. How about it? Do you want to buy it? Yuan Jun said with a sly smile, waiting to see Su Weifeng suffer a setback. Do you have any more bracelets like this? Or better ones will do. Su Weifeng ignored Yuan Jun and smiled at the boss. There is only one of the best kind left, but there are still some of the lower grade ones, and the material is also very good. The boss thought for a while, and pointed to the second one from the top and said, "How many of this kind are left?" Su Weifeng frowned. He didn't expect that there was only one of the best ones, but he felt relieved after thinking about it. If there were so many, it would become currency and would not be valuable. "How many are left? You came here to buy goods." Yuan Jun sneered. I know, he must have said that he wanted to buy a lot, and then the boss said that there were not so many, so he had a reason not to buy. Humph, the less powerful a man is, the more he can pretend. Yuan Jun's girlfriend also said on the side. Su Weifeng ignored their sarcasm and waited for the boss to come back. The boss just went to each counter to look for it and came back with a tray. There are 7 of this kind, all of which are 1.6 million each. If you want to buy, I will give you 1.5 million. The boss said generously. How many do you want to buy? Do you want 10 or 20? Yuan Jun said with a smile, looking at Su Weifeng with disdain. I want all 7 of these, and the best one, and these 2 handheld pieces. Boss, please calculate how much they are. Su Weifeng said calmly, as if he was buying vegetables in the market. Su Weifeng roughly calculated that there was 1 handheld piece for his father, 1 for Feng Bao's father, and as for the jade bracelets for his mother and Feng Bao's mother, there would be enough for the rest of the women in the family. What? All? Yuan Jun's teeth were trembling, and he couldn't speak clearly. He couldn't even afford this one, but Feng Bao's boyfriend bought more than 10. Just now, he had been mocking him for not being able to afford one. At that time, he must have been regarded as a fool. Yuan Jun's girlfriend looked at Su Weifeng with shining eyes. If Feng Bao hadn't been glaring at her fiercely, she would have wanted to pounce on him immediately. She looked at Su Weifeng and then at Yuan Jun. Now she couldn't stand Yuan Jun, no matter how she looked at him, even though Yuan Jun spent more than 100,000 yuan on the gift for her. The total is 15.5 million. The boss didn't expect Su Weifeng to be so rich and thought that it would be great if he bought 2 or 3 items. Su Weifeng happily paid with a credit card, and the boss helped Su Weifeng pack them one by one in gift boxes and also gave the 2 handheld items Chinese knot hanging robes. Yuan Jun seemed to have a dream, and he paid for his girlfriend's jade bracelet in a daze, and then followed Su Weifeng and the others out of Heilongzhou. This is 15 million. Yuan Jun, let alone himself, even his father doesn't have so much money, and Feng Bao's boyfriend just bought some gifts, and he didn't even blink when paying. Let's go to Dafu Gold Shop and buy some gifts for the employees. Su Weifeng's magic voice sounded in Yuan Jun's ears again. Chapter 757. It's nice to be home. Feng Bao hugged Su Weifeng's arm, but her eyes could not leave her arm. Su Weifeng gave her the best jade bracelet worth 2 million yuan. Feng Bao was surprised and delighted. She knew that Su Weifeng had several more at home. The more Feng Bao looked at it, the more she liked it. Suddenly, her face turned red. She thought of something. Could this be a token of love? Yuan Jun accompanied Su Weifeng and Feng Bao into the Dafu Gold Shop again. He watched Su Weifeng holding more than 30 gold bars and leaving the gold shop with the farewell of the waiter. Each gold bar was 500 grams, and a gold bar was more than 200,000 yuan. This time, more than 7 million yuan was spent. This was not spending money, but just throwing paper. And this was just a welfare for employees. More than 200,000 yuan for an employee's welfare. Yuan Jun was completely stunned. How could he dare to invite Feng Bao to dinner? He felt uncomfortable staying in front of them for a second. He hurriedly took his girlfriend away, as if he was escaping. Yuan Jun's girlfriend looked back reluctantly. Even if she couldn't get close to Su Weifeng, it would be fine if she could work in his company. She would ask Yuan Jun to ask her when she got back. The two of them had their own thoughts. Haha, it's so cool today. This guy chased me when we were in school and wanted to be my boyfriend. Today he looks down on us. Let him pretend. He doesn't know that he is my boyfriend. Feng Bao became more and more excited. She hugged Su Weifeng and kissed him. She suddenly stopped talking. She said it as if Su Weifeng was really her boyfriend. Her face was unconsciously a little hot. What happened these days? Did she fall in love with him? Thinking of this, she hurriedly shook her head. Su Weifeng didn't care when he saw Feng Bao so excited. He also liked this hot-tempered and casual girl. At 2:10 in the morning, Su Weifeng and Feng Bao finally returned to Yangcheng, ending their trip to Wuxi these days. They were both exhausted after getting off the plane. Su Weifeng sent Feng Bao home and then returned to the villa. Gently pushing open the door, a girl was sleeping soundly on the bed. I hadn't heard that Qiao Yushan was coming back, so this should be Lin Zhuangsun. Su Weifeng was afraid that, if he mistaken them, it would be troublesome. After all, the intimacy with Lin Zhuangsun was different from that with Qiao Yushan. Su Weifeng didn't turn on the light for fear of waking up Lin Zhuangsun. He changed into pajamas, climbed into the quilt gently, and hugged Lin Zhuangsun gently. Ah screamed. Lin Zhuangsun woke up instantly when she felt someone hugging her and jumped to the ground. It's me, Su Weifeng. Su Weifeng said hurriedly. I was scared to death. You didn't tell me in advance that you were coming back. I couldn't sleep well these days. I thought it was a bad guy who came in. Lin Zhuangsun covered her chest and was obviously startled just now, so she went back to bed. I had a problem over there, so I came back right after I solved it. You must be scared. Come and give me a massage. I don't want you to massage me, you rascal. Su Weifeng and Lin Zhuangsun played for a while, and Su Weifeng felt that his fatigue was relieved a lot, and he felt very happy to be with Lin Zhuangsun. The two hugged each other gently, and time seemed to stand still. Su Weifeng and Lin Zhuangsun looked into each other's eyes, and their eyes were full of tenderness. I miss you. Me too. These few simple words expressed their longing for each other. The two kissed gently, and Su Weifeng's mind was a little confused, knowing that he was going to enter that state again. But feeling Lin Zhuangsun's love, he really didn't want to lose consciousness at this time. Lin Zhuangsun discovered Su Weifeng's state and guessed what he was thinking. He glared at Su Weifeng fiercely, and Su Weifeng lost consciousness with a wry smile. Looking at the unconscious Su Weifeng, Lin Zhuangsun was full of satisfaction, knowing that his love for her was getting deeper and deeper, which was enough. She continued to maintain this posture. After a while, Lin Zhuangsun fell asleep first, but even after falling asleep, her body still subconsciously maintained this posture. After more than an hour, Su Weifeng finally regained consciousness, looked at the girl in his arms, and gently closed his eyes. At this time, his heart was very peaceful, and a smile slowly appeared at the corners of his mouth, and he also fell asleep. The two maintained the same posture all night, and they didn't want to let go, even if they were tired. In the early morning, they woke up hugging each other. The first time they saw each other, they smiled knowingly, and kissed each other affectionately, which made up for the regret of last night. Sister Zhuangsun, come and eat. Sun Yumeng just pushed open the door and called out. Her face flushed instantly, and she quickly closed the door and went out, still so shy. Su Weifeng smiled. It seems that today's intimacy can only end here, and he and Lin Zhuangsun simply washed up and went downstairs. Brother Su, you are back. I just heard Sister Yumeng say that we all miss you. Do you miss us? Zhao Xiaoshi said as she threw herself into Su Weifeng's arms and kissed him hard on the face. She wanted to go find Su Weifeng just now, but was stopped by Sun Yumeng. Su Weifeng hugged Sun Yumeng again. They were girlfriends and he couldn't favor one over the other. The girl was still so shy that she didn't dare to kiss Su Weifeng in front of everyone. Brother Su, it's time to eat. Breakfast today is milk and sandwiches. Liu King and Liu Jia were also very happy to see Su Weifeng back. They couldn't hide the smiles on their faces, but they didn't dare to be too affectionate, especially in front of the hostesses. Did Brother Su bring us gifts? Zhao Xiaoshi said while eating. Little girls like gifts. Of course I did. I'll give it to you after dinner. Su Weifeng said with a smile. Wow. Zhao Xiaoshi shouted excitedly, and then drank the porridge in big gulps. A whole boiled egg was stuffed into her mouth at once. She choked and coughed non-stop. Sun Yumeng poured water and patted her back before she recovered. Xiaoshu, don't be in a hurry, eat slowly. If you choke yourself to death, your gift will be given to someone else. Lin Zhuangsun said with a smile. Everyone was amused by Zhao Xiaoshu. Liu King and Liu Jia also laughed softly. These days, everyone ate together every day. Occasionally, they also played mahjong. They were less and less afraid of these hostesses, and gradually regarded this as their own home. After breakfast, Su Weifeng took out the bracelets he bought for them, one for each person. Each one was so delicate and exquisite. The Haitian jade was not in vain. Several girls loved it. Lin Zhuangxuan received several gifts from Su Weifeng, but this one was her favorite. Haitian jade was not as ostentatious as some branded jewelry. It was purer and more elegant, just like love. She had decided to wear this jade bracelet and never take it off again. Liu King and Liu Jia were very envious of the three girls who all had beautiful jade bracelets, but they were not jealous either, because they were just maids, not like the hostess. You two have a share too. Seeing their envious eyes, Su Weifeng smiled. Chapter 758 The Maid Missing. Thank you, Brother Su. Liu King and Liu Jia said excitedly, and immediately put them on their wrists. These were the two that Su Weifeng bought with Yuxuan yesterday before he left. When he was about to leave, he suddenly remembered that he still had two little maids at home. Although they were not his girlfriends, they were also his people. At least the two little maids thought so. Of course, he couldn't do without them, so he bought jade bracelets that were second only to his girlfriends. If you don't compare carefully, you can't tell the difference. Liu King and Liu Jia couldn't let go of the bracelets Song Weifeng gave them. They secretly looked at Sun Yumeng's and Thi's. They were the same as their own. Liu Jia and Liu King were even happier, which showed that they still had a high status in Su Weifeng's heart. Several girls chatted and discussed whose jade bracelets were beautiful, and they all felt that Thi's were better than others. Sister Zhuangxuan, we have to go to work. Time is almost up. There are 2 interviews today. Sun Yumeng is very serious about her work. Even though Su Weifeng is back, she has not forgotten her work at the company. Yes, it's all Brother Su's fault. I almost forgot something important. Lin Zhuangxuan said deliberately, but his eyes were full of smiles. Yes, it's Brother Su's fault. Zhao Ziaoshu also echoed. Okay, it's all my fault for the gifts I gave you. Now I'm taking them back. Su Weifeng said with a bitter face. No, you can't take back the gifts you gave away. Lin Zhuangxuan laughed. Several girls immediately protected their bracelets and laughed. Today, Su Weifeng went to the company with several girls. Recently, the company received several video shooting contracts. The employees have to work overtime every day. It's very hard. He plans to give benefits to the employees. I believe that these benefits will make the employees full of energy. Before leaving, Lin Zhuangxuan asked Liu King and Liu Jia to buy more food. Everyone will come back to the villa in the evening for BBQ to welcome Su Weifeng. Hello, Mr. Su, Mr. Lin. Hello, Mr. Su, Mr. Lin. Hello, Mr. Su, Mr. Lin. As soon as they entered the company, the employees greeted Su Weifeng one after another. There were 2 new faces that Su Weifeng didn't even recognize. He really hadn't been to the company for a while. Now the company is basically managed by Lin Zhuangxuan, and Su Weifeng only stepped forward to solve major issues. Liu Ying, call everyone to the conference room. Su Weifeng said to Liu Ying, the girl in charge of personnel. Not long after, all the more than 20 employees sat in the conference room, waiting for Mr. Su to hold a meeting for everyone. Good morning, everyone. Although I haven't seen you for a while, I know how you all perform. Su Weifeng deliberately paused. Some of the employees below puffed up their chests, while others were nervous and had their own little thoughts. We have experienced a lot of things in dream film and television, including malicious poaching by peers, difficulties in the initial startup, etc. I'm very grateful to everyone for staying here. I hope that everyone can grow together with the company. Our company will gradually develop into a first-tier film and television company in China, and everyone now will become the original employees of the company. You are just talking nonsense, and you still want to become a first-tier film and television company. Some new employees muttered in their hearts. Stop talking nonsense. Today is to give everyone benefits. Su Weifeng said, putting a large gym bag on the table. What benefits? It looks very heavy. I heard that President Su went out recently. It must be a specialty snack. The employees below whispered and guessed. Liu Ying's eyes also glanced at Zhao Ziaoshu. Zhao Ziaoshu smiled and squinted his eyes. Liu Ying didn't understand, but was also curious. Su Weifeng opened the gym bag and poured everything inside onto the table with a bang. The golden bars piled up into a small mountain. The employees stared with wide eyes, and they couldn't believe what they saw was real. There was a girl with her mouth wide open, drooling, but she didn't realize it. Is this a real gold bar or the kind of gold sand? Some employees are guessing. A thick bracelet of gold sand is only a few hundred yuan, but it has a little gold content. Liuing, this is yours. Su Weifeng handed it out to everyone one by one for each person. Looking at the gold bars in their hands, some people were nervous, some were surprised, and some couldn't believe it. This time, no one doubted the purity of the gold bars. The gold bars were clearly printed with dafu jewelry, and each gold bar had a receipt. The weight was clearly written as 500 grams, which is 1 catty. Looking at the amount on the receipt, it was more than 200,000. Everyone got more than 200,000 benefits. What kind of company is this? How can there be such a company? Everyone has been here for less than a year, because the company was established less than a year ago. It was heard that the boss of the company has a strong background, and Mingyang Film and Television in Beijing has invested 200 million, but it was only heard that the employees didn't feel much. Now they really feel the strength of the company. This small 10 million is just a benefit. Can Mingyang Film and Television have such treatment? This money is enough to set up a smaller film and television company. Liuing is now secretly glad that her original choice was so correct. If it weren't for Zhao Xiaoshu, she wouldn't have come to Dream Films. She looked down on this small company at the beginning. Thinking about it, she is ridiculous. From this moment on, all employees have the same idea that they will never leave Dream Films. Whoever poaches me will be angry. The employees have an unprecedented sense of belonging and cohesion. Looking at the eyes of the employees, Su Weifeng nodded secretly and felt that the money he spent was really worth it. This is just him, who doesn't treat money as money. Who else dares to do this? After a simple encouragement, the employees all returned to their own work. Everyone was full of energy and blood. You are still amazing. You don't usually come to the company. Well, this time you come and buy people's hearts. In Su Weifeng's office, Lin Zhuangxuan was enjoying Su Weifeng's massage and said, "The employees were bought by our company, just the two of us." Haha. Su Weifeng laughed. The company is developing better and better now. I never thought that I just wanted to have fun at the beginning, but now it has become like this. Lin Zhuangxuan thought about her newly started small studio and felt as if she was in another world. Don't work too hard. You should rest when you need to. Su Weifeng saw that Lin Zhuangxuan was almost becoming a workaholic like Qiao Yushan and said with some heartache, I won't be tired if you give me a massage every day." Lin Zhuangxuan felt Su Weifeng's intentions and her heart was filled with sweetness. In the evening, Su Weifeng and Lin Zhuangxuan rushed home. After get off work, everyone was looking forward to the BBQ tonight. As soon as they arrived at the door of the villa, everyone felt a little strange. Yes, there was no light in the villa, and it was pitch black. Could it be that Liu King and Liu Jia were not at home? Several people hurried into the house. Sure enough, there was no trace of Liu King and Liu Jia in the whole villa. Zhao Xiaoshu went to call Liu King to see where this person had gone. But no one answered the call, and then he called Liu Jia again, but still no one answered. Nothing will happen to them, Sun Yumeng said worriedly. Chapter 759 Yangmei Town. Several people checked the villa again. Except for Liu King and Liu Jia who were missing, there was nothing unusual. Several people began to get a little anxious. They had already regarded Liu King and Liu Jia as a family. Let's call the police, Zhao Xiaoshu said nervously. It's useless to call the police now. It's less than 24 hours. Lin Zhuangxuan was a little calmer. Then what should we do? Sun Yumeng frowned, feeling very uneasy. Su Weifeng thought carefully. He had not been in Yangcheng in recent days. If there were any enemies, it would be the matter of Washi, and he didn't think the people there were qualified to cause trouble for him. Did Liu King and Liu Jia disappear because of an accident? Su Weifeng suddenly thought of Feng Baoer. Hey, brother Feng, what's the matter? I haven't woken up yet. Feng Baoer's drowsy voice came with a burst of waking up. What time are you still sleeping? Su Weifeng was speechless. The two came back last night, and they couldn't sleep until this time. What do you care? I'm jet lagged, Feng Bao said confidently. She was in a bad mood when she was woken up from a sound sleep. Jet lag. This reason made Su Weifeng speechless. You went abroad in more than 3 hours on the plane. He didn't have time to chat with Feng Bao, so he got down to business. I want to talk to you about something. My two friends Liu King and Liu Jia are missing. Su Weifeng said seriously. Your two little maids? Feng Bao had heard of Liu King and Liu Jia, so she asked directly. Su Weifeng told Feng Bao that he didn't see the two of them when he got home at night and asked them to go shopping during the day. He asked Feng Bao to help check it out. Su Weifeng was most worried that Liu King and Liu Jia would have an accident. Okay, send me their photos, phone numbers, and ID cards. I'll ask someone to check and give you news later. Feng Bao didn't drag her feet when handling cases and went straight to the point. About half an hour later, Feng Bao called and found no news about Liu King and Liu Jia. She had given the photos to her colleagues and asked them to help check the surveillance videos. This was a huge project involving at least dozens of cameras. They had to check them one by one, and it was estimated that they would not get results until tomorrow. She told Su Weifeng not to worry and that she would tell him as soon as there was a result. No news is good news. At least it proves that Liu King and the Liu family did not have any accidents. Lin Zhuangxuan comforted everyone. She was right. At least it was not the worst case. The villa was very quiet tonight. Everyone had no interest in chatting. After a simple meal, they returned to their bedrooms. I hope nothing will happen to Liu King and Liu Jia. After washing up and lying on the bed, Lin Zhuangxuan said anxiously. Yes, these two girls are pitiful enough. They don't have the childhood that normal girls should have. Su Weifeng sighed. They were originally living a better life with you. If something happened, they would not be able to live like this. Lin Zhuangxuan did not dare to say anything more. Don't worry, we are just guessing now. Maybe nothing happened. I hope so. Lin Zhuangxuan said absent-mindedly. The next morning, Su Weifeng and several girls were eating breakfast in the living room, and Feng Bao finally received news. Brother Feng, my colleague just found clues about Liu King and Liu Jia on the surveillance. The two went to the vegetable market to buy vegetables around noon, and then got on a taxi on the way back. There was also a woman in the car at the time. We contacted the driver through the license plate number. He remembered the two girls and said that the two girls were very beautiful. He had a deep impression. There was also a woman in her 30s who was average looking. The three of them took a taxi to Yangmei town, but he didn't know what they were doing there, and he didn't hear them talk about it in the car. I have contacted the police there to help with the investigation, but there is no useful information yet. Feng Bao told Su Weifeng some clues of the investigation, but there was no clear result yet. Do Liu King and Liu Jia have relatives or friends in Yangmei town? Su Weifeng frowned. He himself had never heard of them. Besides, Liu King and Liu Jia were both from Bincheng, which was far away from Yangcheng. Several girls shook their heads. They sometimes chatted with Liu King and Liu Jia. They didn't know where their homes were. The only thing they remembered was that they were in the Song family in Bincheng. I'll go to Yangmei town first. Su Weifeng thought about it and still felt uneasy. He decided to check it out himself. I'll go with you. Lin Zhuangxuan stood up hurriedly and said. I'll go too. I'll go too. Sun Yumeng and Zhao Ziaoshu also said one after another. They were all very worried. I can go by myself. There are no clues now. If you important people don't go, what will happen to the company? We will act separately. You go back to work in the company, and the company has to run. I'll go to Yangmei town and notify you immediately if there is any situation. Su Weifeng thought about it and decided that it would be better to go alone. It would be more convenient if there was any situation. Okay, then tell us if there's anything. Lin Zhuangxuan thought that she and Sun Yumeng wouldn't be able to help much if they went, so she had to agree and told them. Yangmei town is located in the suburbs of Yangcheng. Su Weifeng drove his BMW X7 for more than an hour to get to Yangmei town. The town has a small population, but is very prosperous. There are constant streams of people on the commercial street in the town, and all kinds of hawking sounds are heard. Su Weifeng decided to start from here. He took out the photos of Liu King and Liu Jia and asked door to door to see if anyone had seen the two girls. Unfortunately, this method had little effect. The result was the same. No one had seen Liu King and Liu Jia. With Liu King and Liu Jia's looks, anyone who had seen them would definitely have an impression of them. Su Weifeng didn't give up so easily. He also increased the number of inquiries from street shops to pedestrians on the road, but unfortunately there was still no harvest. Seeing that it was already past noon, Su Weifeng decided to find a place to fill his stomach first, and then continue to look for it. Now he was not in the mood to eat, so he just found a noodle restaurant and sat down. As it was past lunchtime, the noodle shop was deserted with few tables of customers. While waiting for the service, Su Weifeng asked the boss and several tables of diners. No one had seen the two girls, and Su Weifeng was a little disappointed. At this moment, a woman in her 50s suddenly spoke up and said, "I have indeed never seen this girl, but we often see strangers in our town recently." Su Weifeng's eyes lit up, and he listened carefully. "I once saw a stranger enter a villa on the edge of our town," the woman said mysteriously. "The villa was originally built by a rich person from outside, and they are not locals. It is not normal for a stranger to go to the villa. What's so strange about this? Don't talk nonsense all day. Be careful that the rich people in the villa will find trouble with you." A man at the same table scolded, and the middle-aged woman dared not speak anymore. Su Weifeng thanked the woman and asked for the direction of the villa. He walked along the street and was about to leave the town. He had a plan in mind and went here first. He also felt that it was a bit suspicious. Su Weifeng quickly finished his noodles and rushed to the villa. He did not drive too close to the villa, but parked a little further away from it and looked at it from a distance. Behind the villa was the national road, and not far away from Yangcheng, there were some farmlands around with some crops planted, but it seemed that no one was taking care of them, and they looked very weak. Chapter 760 Joining the company. Su Weifeng carefully looked at the villa. The red solid wood double opening courtyard door. The door panels were nailed with rivets and pull rings. 2 stone lions guarding the gate, and a 3-story European-style building in the courtyard, with red gilded glazed tiles on the roof. The owner of this villa is not short of money. The whole villa is built luxuriously, and has a bit of ancient style. But how could such a villa be built on the edge of Yangmei town? There are no mountains or water in this location, and there is really nothing to recommend. Su Weifeng is very puzzled about the builder of this villa. "Brother, what are you doing?" Su Weifeng was looking at the situation inside the villa in front of the door, and didn't notice when there was an extra person behind him. Looking back, it was a young man in casual clothes with a kind smile on his face. He looked a few years older than himself. Judging from his dress and temperament, he was not a local of Yangmei town, so he was probably someone in this villa. "I'm from Yangcheng. I came here to look for my friend, but couldn't find him. I came here and saw this villa. This villa is really magnificent. It's hard to find a villa like this in Yangcheng. I wish I had such a villa." Su Weifeng looked at the villa with envy. "If you like it, come in and sit down. It's not that simple," the young man said with a smile. "Ah, I can still go in and take a look." "That's not good. I'd better not do it," Su Weifeng said with an embarrassed look. "What's the matter? This is not a private house. It's a company office. Are you afraid to look at it?" the young man said indifferently. "This villa is a company? How big a company must be to work in a villa?" Su Weifeng's eyes widened, looking surprised. The young man was very satisfied with Su Weifeng's performance. "Our company is not too big. This is to ensure the interests of each employee. If there are too many people to share the profits, the employees will earn less." The young man smiled. "You are right. How much can your employees earn per month now? 5,000? 8,000? Su Weifeng pretended to be curious and asked cautiously. "This is a trade secret, but we are still recruiting recently, so it's okay to tell you. We have a 3-month probation period. After the internship period, the monthly salary will be at least 300,000 yuan," the young man said proudly. "So much? How much can you get during the probation period?" Su Weifeng said excitedly. "It depends on your performance during the probation period. If you do what the instructor teaches, you can get at least 100,000 yuan." The young man looked unconcerned. What are the requirements? I want to try it, too. Su Weifeng asked nervously. There is only one requirement, which is to have ambition, that is, the desire to make money. If you just want to get a basic salary, we won't hire you. The young man said in a deep voice. I have this. As long as you can make money, you can do anything. Su Weifeng's eyes lit up, and he already had a plan in mind. Not bad, not bad. I like such motivated guys. I'm Dan Qiang, the sales manager. Come to my department and try it. Can I really do it? That's great. Thank you, Manager Dan. Su Weifeng said excitedly. Come on, I'll take you to the job registration. Dan Qiang knocked on the door, and soon a bald young man opened the door and greeted Dan Qiang. Brother Dan, you have a new employee so soon. Brother Dan is really awesome. Dan Qiang glared at the young man, but didn't say anything. He took Su Weifeng in. Su Weifeng followed Dan Qiang to a room on the first floor. There was a sign on the door saying manager's office. After entering, he simply registered Su Weifeng, and then took Su Weifeng to another room, which said vocational office. There were 4 men in the room at this time, who were discussing something, and taking notes from time to time. When they saw Dan Qiang coming in, they stood up, and greeted Dan Qiang. Dan Qiang raised his hand to signal, and walked to the podium. Today we have a new partner. His name is Su Weifeng. Everyone applaud and welcome him. Dan Qiang called Su Weifeng to the stage, and said to everyone, hello, everyone. I'm new here, and have never been in this industry. Please give me your guidance in the future. Su Weifeng was telling the truth. He still didn't know what this industry was. The people below shook hands with Su Weifeng one by one, very politely, as if they were friends who had known each other for many years. Through their introductions, Su Weifeng also knew the names of these people. The young man with glasses was called Qiao Yushan, a top student who graduated from a prestigious university. His surname was Qiao, and he was also very tall, over 1.85 meters tall. Although he looked friendly, there was a sense of pride in his eyes. A fat young man named Lindsay used to be a security guard and came to this company by chance. The one with a fierce face was called Pei Yi. It was said that he was a gangster. Everyone called him Brother Pei. There was also a man with a pair of dark circles under his eyes, called Du Jiang, who looked very ordinary and was a programmer before. Then Dan Qiang gave a few people a class, which was nothing more than some exciting content. Su Weifeng sneered in his heart, but pretended to be excited on his face, with his eyes shining. After a few hours of classes, Su Weifeng's cell phone was also taken away. It was said to be military management. Su Weifeng didn't care at all, and handed over his cell phone directly. Dan Qiang was very satisfied with Su Weifeng's attitude, and was less vigilant. Su Weifeng and several colleagues went to the cafeteria outside the villa building to have dinner. As they walked, they came together with Pei Yi, and pretended to chat casually about some insignificant topics. Do you want to run away? Su Weifeng suddenly asked in a low voice. Pei Yi's eyes widened instantly, staring at Su Weifeng, his heart beating violently. You pretended very well, but you can't fool me. During the class, the three of them were very serious and excited from the bottom of their hearts. Although you behaved like them, your eyes were a little cold. I know you are pretending. You haven't been brainwashed. Su Weifeng lowered his voice, so that only Pei Yi could hear it. Who are you? Pei Yi always thought that he was disguised very well, and he was very flustered when he was seen through. If you listen to me, I can take you away. Su Weifeng said coldly, not in the mood to introduce himself. Okay, have you seen two very beautiful girls these days? Su Weifeng asked nervously. Are you here to find them? I saw them when I went to the toilet yesterday. They brought back 2 girls. They are very beautiful. They should be the 2 you mentioned. Pei Yi said immediately. Oh, where are they now? Su Weifeng asked hurriedly. I don't know either. The background of this pyramid scheme organization is very complicated. It's not just pyramid scheme. There should also be human trafficking. His words are self-evident. According to his guess, these 2 girls should not be here for pyramid scheme. Su Weifeng frowned and felt uneasy. If Liu King and Liu Jia were sold in his hands and hurt again, he would not be able to forgive himself. Don't worry, Brother Pei is here to protect you. Pei Yi's voice suddenly became louder, and he said something irrelevant. Chapter 761 Bird Calling. Su Weifeng immediately realized that someone was watching him and immediately acted very happy to chat with Pei Yi. He found that the feeling of being watched came from the forest in front, and the fat man was one of the people watching him. After dinner, on the way back, Su Weifeng suddenly squatted down holding his stomach. Does anyone have paper? I have chronic gastroenteritis. Maybe something I ate was not good. Su Weifeng took a breath and used his true energy to force out some cold sweat. There is paper in the bathroom. I will go with you. Pei Yi said hurriedly and gestured to the other people, indicating that they could rest assured that he was watching. Seeing that Pei Yi was accompanying him, the others in the forest did not follow him. Watching a man go to the toilet is not a good task, so they went back to the dormitory first. You are pretending so well that I believe it. Pei Yi gave a thumbs up. Where is the boss office you mentioned? Su Weifeng had heard from Pei Yi that the most important person in charge of the company was not Dan Kuang, but a bald man named Mr. Jin. Su Weifeng wanted to find clues about Liu King and Liu Jia from there. Mr. Jin's office is on the 3rd floor. Let me take you there. You have to be careful. If things go wrong, both of us will die. Pei Yi said to Su Weifeng with some concern. Aren't you a gangster? Are you afraid of a few pyramid schemers? Su Weifeng said with a smile. If it were just these few people, I wouldn't be afraid. I dared to break out with a kitchen knife, but there are not so few people in this villa. I have seen people trying to escape before, and even knocked down several people with a knife, but I don't know where dozens of people came from and got that person in. After that, I haven't seen that person since then. You should know the consequences. Pei Yi gently wiped his neck. Su Weifeng sneered in his heart, and the murderous aura gradually overflowed from his body. Pei Yi subconsciously took a step back and left Su Weifeng's side. At this moment, Su Weifeng made him feel creepy, but the more mysterious Su Weifeng was, the more hope he had of escaping. The two took advantage of the fact that there was no one in the corridor on the 2nd floor and quickly went to the 3rd floor through the stairs. At the foot of the stairs was Mr. Jin's office. Su Weifeng lay on Mr. Jin's door and listened. After confirming that there was no one inside, he took out a silver needle he carried with him, fiddled with the keyhole for a few times, and then gently turned the handle, and the door opened gently. I'll go in and take a look. You help me keep watch. If there is any situation, imitate the bird's call. Su Weifeng ordered. Pei Yi nodded and looked around vigilantly. After entering the room, Su Weifeng saw clearly that this office was a 2-room type. The outside was a desk. As an office, there were a pile of folders piled up messily on it. The room inside should be the lounge. Su Weifeng came to the small door inside, listened and found nothing unusual. Then he opened the door again, only to see Liu King and Liu Jia tied to a big bed, with something stuffed in their mouths. When they saw Su Weifeng coming in, they tried to make a sound. Su Weifeng hurried to help them untie the ropes, checked and saw that they were not disheveled and should not have been violated. Su Weifeng was relieved. Brother Su. Liu King burst into tears and threw herself into Su Weifeng's arms. She was terrified and had made up her mind to die. Liu Jia also hugged Su Weifeng tightly. Only in this way could they regain that sense of security. Are you okay? Su Weifeng asked softly, holding the two girls in his arms. Brother Su, we are fine. They wanted to violate us, but we would rather die than give in. Liu Jia and I are ready. Our bodies can only belong to Brother Su. If they come again, we will commit suicide to keep our innocence. Liu King said seriously, and Liu Jia also looked at Su Weifeng and nodded seriously. It's good that you are fine. It's good that you are fine. Su Weifeng wanted to say that you should not leave it to me, but this would probably make the two girls sad, so he had to smile bitterly. Su Weifeng didn't know what to think of Liu King and Liu Jia. He really liked them. They were beautiful and cute, but when he thought that they were given to him by the Song family, like concubines in ancient times, he lost that feeling. Why are you here? When we went back yesterday, we found that you were not at home. Do you know how worried we were? Su Weifeng told them how he found Feng Baoer again, after he found them not at home yesterday. Liu King and Liu Jia didn't expect that everyone was so worried. They were very touched and said with guilt. Yesterday, Liu King and I went to buy ingredients for the barbecue tonight. On the way back, we met an older sister who whispered to us if we wanted wild food. Barbecue is delicious. Maybe she saw that we bought a lot of barbecue meat. Liu King said. Then what? You followed us here to buy wild food? Su Weifeng rolled his eyes. Yes, because she said that wild food is good for Brother Su's health. We wanted to buy some to nourish Brother Su. The older sister looked very simple, so we followed her. We were locked up as soon as we arrived. If Brother Su hadn't come today, he might not have seen us. Liu Jia started crying again as she spoke, and the fear in her heart had not been eliminated. What kind of wild food is worth running so far to buy? What can't be found in the vegetable market? Su Weifeng was very puzzled by this. What could attract Liu King and Liu Jia to such a far place? She said they got it from hunting deer penis and tiger penis, Liu King said in a thin mosquito voice with a red face. Su Weifeng almost choked to death with a mouthful of saliva. What did these two girls buy for him? We thought that Brother Su had several girlfriends like Sister Zhuangsun, so when that sister said so, we wanted to buy it for Brother Su. Liu Jia explained in a low voice, embarrassed. Su Weifeng really didn't know what to say. These two girls really wanted to do good for him, but their hearts were too far away. Squeak. Squeak. A strange sound came from outside. There must be a mouse here, Liu King said when he saw Su Weifeng listening carefully. It seems to be a bird's cry. Su Weifeng said word by word, with a full head of black lines. It's obviously a mouse. Liu Jia also said. They didn't know what was going on, but Su Weifeng knew. He asked Pei Yi to keep watch and imitate the bird's cry when there was any movement. This was Pei Yi's bird's cry. If he cried a few more times, the cat would probably come. Pei Yi, what are you doing here? Brother Deng's voice came from outside the door. Pei Yi suddenly jumped into the house and quickly locked the door. At this time, Su Weifeng also took Liu King and Liu Jia to the office outside. Oh no, we've been discovered. If you find them, then we can't get out. Pei Yi's face turned black, and he searched the house anxiously. He wanted to find a weapon, so that he could fight to the death. Unfortunately, he only came with a stainless steel thermos, and smiled bitterly at Su Weifeng. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 762. It's almost time. Don't worry, I said I'll take you out, Su Weifeng said calmly. Liu King and Liu Jia stood beside Su Weifeng and were no longer afraid. They knew that they would be fine as long as Su Weifeng was there. Brother, you're still taking me out at this time. You don't even know how you died. We'll fight them in a while. If one of us dies, we'll get our money back. If two of us die, we'll make a profit. Pei Yi was also desperate at this time. Instead of being cautious at the beginning, he became calm when there was no hope. I know there are mobile phones in this office, Liu King suddenly said. She heard someone playing games here. Then she and Liu Jia searched in the living room and actually found a mobile phone without a SIM card under the coffee table. But it doesn't matter if there is no SIM card, as long as there is internet. At this time, the door was finally knocked open after repeated collisions. More than a dozen people rushed into the office at once. After entering, these people did not directly fight. They slowly split into two sides and made way. A somewhat wretched bald middle-aged man walked in, revealing two big gold teeth. Needless to say, this is Leojin. Su Weifeng even suspected that his name Leojin came from the big gold teeth. And An Qiang followed Leojin closely. Su Weifeng, I appreciate you and give you a job, but you have bad intentions, Deng Qiang said with a serious look. Manager Deng, it's meaningless to pretend at this time. Don't you know why you hired me in? Su Weifeng said with a sneer. Boy, no matter what your purpose is, or whether you are a policeman, it's useless. You all will die here today. Deng Qiang tore off the hypocritical coat and said viciously. Deng Qiang, don't be so angry. Don't fight and kill at every turn. General Manager Jin said with a smile. You arrested two of my friends. What do you want? Su Weifeng said calmly. A gentleman loves a beautiful lady. Isn't this our traditional virtue? Of course, we should enjoy these two beautiful girls. Sell them when you are tired of playing with them. Such good stuff can be sold for at least hundreds of thousands of yuan each. Su Weifeng looked at Mr. Jin coldly, as if he was looking at a dead person. He knew that it was this bold Mr. Jin who wanted to violate Liu King and Liu Jia before. As for you two, go and contribute to the medical cause. Mr. Jin laughed. You beasts will not have a good end. If you want to kill me, let's see who will take the blame first. Pei Yi shouted angrily, while holding a thermos cup. If he was given a knife, it would be really deterrent. Haha. Mr. Jin and others laughed, not taking Pei Yi seriously at all. They were all holding heavy weapons such as steel pipes. The thermos cup against the steel pipe. The scene was a bit weird. Boy, you still want to be a hero and save the beauty. I'll cripple you today and then show you a 3-person action movie of me and 2 beautiful girls. It's a live version without coding. Ha ha ha. President Jin laughed wildly, and the men around him laughed too, not taking Su Weifeng seriously at all. HMPH, that's all. Let's go. Su Weifeng snorted coldly, and before they could react, he punched President Jin in the face, and President Jin flew out of the door, and rolled down the stairs to the 2nd floor. At this time, blood was still flowing out of his nose. Go, kill him. Dan Qiang shouted loudly, and hurried downstairs to see President Jin. His boss was beaten up. More than a dozen thugs rushed up. Some rushed to Pei Yi and some rushed to Su Weifeng. Pei Yi was also very brave, holding a thermos cup, and started to attack these thugs, completely giving up defense. The key is that there are so many people, he can't hide, even if he wants to. The thermos cup in Pei Yi's hand flew up and down. While he was bleeding from his head, 3 thugs were also hit, and fell to the ground with blood on their heads. The thugs next to Su Weifeng were unlucky. They couldn't touch Su Weifeng at all. One punch would definitely knock one down. Those who fell down couldn't stand up for a while. Su Weifeng knew that these people were not ordinary thugs. What they did involved human lives. They were really worse than beasts. He didn't show any mercy to them. The sound of broken bones and tendons could be heard from time to time, mixed with various screams. Soon Su Weifeng dealt with all the thugs, except for Pei Yi, and Liu King and Liu Jia who were holding an iron rod. No one could stand up. Brother, are you still human? Pei Yi was ready to confess here, after being hit on the head by a few sticks. Unexpectedly, there were fewer and fewer people around him. Seeing these thugs being kicked away by Su Weifeng one by one like dogs, Pei Yi was dumbfounded. Su Weifeng led Pei Yi, Liu King and Liu Jia to fight all the way from the stairs to the courtyard on the 1st floor. At this time, the gate was blocked by a dense crowd. I don't know where so many people came from. After a while, dozens of people ran out of the building and crowded the courtyard. Liu King and Liu Jia were a little scared and held Su Weifeng's clothes tightly. They knew that Su Weifeng was good at fighting, but there were at least 100 or 80 people. How could they fight? Liu King, Liu Jia, are you afraid? Su Weifeng said with a smile. We are not afraid. Although they were a little scared, they still said in unison that, if they could really die with Brother Su, then this life would be worth it. Pei Yi stared at the people around him, holding the iron rod in his hand, and blood was still flowing on his head. If it weren't for the iron rod, he would hardly be able to stand, but there was no fear in his eyes, only hatred, ready for the last fight at any time. Boy, you're quite good at fighting, right? Just now I wanted you to hold on for a while, but now I've changed my mind. President Jin's voice came from the window on the 2nd floor. He and Dan Qiang were standing together, with toilet paper stuffed in his nose. He spoke in a muffled voice. This time he was more cautious, and didn't dare to go to the 1st floor. He found a safe place. Following President Jin's words, the thugs surrounding them drew out their long knives, ready to kill Su Weifeng and the others right here. With all these trash like you, I think it's easy to take them away. Su Weifeng looked at President Jin on the 2nd floor and laughed. Haha, you're still pretending at this time. Well, then I want to know why you don't run if you can. President Jin sneered. It's very simple. You're all a bunch of scum. I don't want to let any of you go. If you want to run, I can't catch you all. Then what? President Jin still sneered, waiting for Su Weifeng's next words. Then, it's almost time. Su Weifeng took out the phone without a card and looked at the time. What? You called the police? President Jin finally lost his calmness just now. Calling the police is a matter for later. As soon as Su Weifeng finished speaking, President Jin saw a row of lights approaching quickly on the national highway in the distance, like a long dragon with no end in sight under the night sky. Soon, dozens of Harley-Davidson motorcycles roared to the outside of the villa. Each motorcycle had 2 people. The riders wearing helmets and holding steel pipes jumped off the motorcycles and quickly flipped over the wall. This was just the vanguard. Following closely behind the motorcycles were various sports cars, including Maserati, Lamborghini, etc. Behind the sports cars were commercial vehicles. Needless to say, they were all thugs. At the end were off-road vehicles. President Jin saw that the villa was surrounded by 3 layers of people inside and outside, and the roar of cars in the distance continued. Chapter 763 Poor President Jin. Hello, Brother Su. Hello, Brother Su. Hello, Brother Su. The young masters of each family rushed to call out and greeted Su Weifeng loudly, fearing that if they spoke too softly, Su Weifeng would not hear them and lose a chance to show off. These young masters all knew that the attitude of the Yang Cheng family towards them was important, but Su Weifeng's attitude was even more important. If you had a conflict with Su Weifeng, the family would basically give up on you. If you were on good terms with Su Weifeng, the position of the head of the family would most likely be yours. Brother Su, are you satisfied with what I did? Xu Lingling hugged Su Weifeng's arm and said coquettishly. She had long lost the shrewishness of the old lady, which shocked the young masters of the family heads. Some of those who were not well informed also understood that Xu Lingling was Su Weifeng's woman and must not be provoked. At this time, Su Weifeng had already left the villa compound. When Su Weifeng walked out with Pei Yi and others, no one dared to stop him. Even the most ignorant people knew that Su Weifeng was not an ordinary person. His background was too terrifying, so terrifying that they could not imagine it. And they are just a criminal gang, and they can't compare with such a big power. In the eyes of these big powers, even a group of murderers is no different from a group of thieves. Well done, very satisfied. Su Weifeng touched Xu Lingling's hair and said with a smile, "Then is there a reward?" Xu Lingling pouted. Su Weifeng hugged Xu Lingling and kissed her pink lips. Xu Lingling was shocked at first. It was the first time she saw Su Weifeng so proactive. Then she was happy and her body softened in Su Weifeng's arms. It turned out that Su Weifeng, who got the cardless phone, did not contact Feng Baoer to call the police, but contacted Xu Lingling first. The evil must be dealt with by the evil. Xu Lingling just sent a message to the young masters of the family in Yangcheng. Su Weifeng was trapped. Then these young masters of the family immediately mobilized people to start racing, fearing that they would be pulled behind by others if they were slow. At this time, the people brought by Xu Lingling were like hungry wolves coming down the mountain. They rushed into the villa one after another, swinging steel sticks at anyone they saw. The young masters also charged forward, not afraid of getting hurt at all. If they got hurt, it would be good, because it would add points to themselves. Poor thugs, each of them was hit and kicked by a group of people, and they were not let go even if they fainted. There were too many wolves and little meat, so how could they let go of one after all the hard work? If they gave up this one and looked for another, they might not be able to get their feet in. Seeing that things were not going well, Mr. Jin found a remote guest room and hid under the bed, trembling. However, how could Su Weifeng forget him and wanted to violate Liu King and Liu Jia, so he specially ordered people to take special care of Mr. Jin. Mr. Jin was directly dragged out from under the bed. Several young masters of the family were beating him up personally. Those who Su Weifeng ordered to take special care of had to behave well, as if they had been injected with chicken blood, and they didn't feel pain, even when their fists were swollen. However, Mr. Jin did not fall down under such a siege. It was not because he had strength. Poor Mr. Jin was tied to a tree and beaten, and others did not have such special treatment as him. In the end, of course, they had to hand it over to the police. Many people here had killed people, and the lightest outcome was to go to jail and cry behind bars. "Boss Su, I want to follow you," Pei Yi said a little nervously. Pei Yi was already frightened by such a big scene, and subconsciously followed Su Weifeng's steps and walked out. Although he was also a gangster, he only fought and hacked people. When had he ever seen such a scene? This style was completely on a different level. A group of people driving sports cars had to call the big brother, and he saw that this was the man who called him on WeChat. He never thought that he would meet such a man in his life. I'm not a gangster, why are you following me? Su Weifeng smiled bitterly. He was actually regarded as a gangster. No matter where the big brother is, I want to follow you. I will follow the big brother for the rest of my life, and I will never have any second thoughts. Okay, then you will go to work in my company. Report at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Su Weifeng thought about it and decided to let Pei Yi go to work in his company. This man was not afraid even when surrounded by dozens of people. This was precious. Su Weifeng couldn't help but think of his comrades. Moreover, most of the people in his film and television company were girls. Even if there were a few men, they were handsome guys who made videos. They had no fighting power at all. If they really encountered some trouble, no one would protect Lin Zhuangxuan and the others. Although no one dared to touch his people in Yangcheng, there would still be accidents, like this time. Now it was just right for Pei Yi to go to the company, not only as a security guard, but also as a gangster in the video. He was just in need of such a person. Thank you, big brother. Pei Yi's heart was ablaze with energy. Xu Lingling personally drove Su Weifeng, Liu King and Liu Jia back to the villa, and then went to deal with the aftermath. As soon as Liu King and Liu Jia entered the door, they were surrounded by 3 girls, who pulled them and asked them nervously. Feeling the sincerity of the 3 girls, Liu King and Liu Jia thought of Su Weifeng personally saving them. They were very moved. For the first time, they felt at home and burst into tears. Lin Zhuangxuan and the other 2 were infected by Liu King and the other 2, and they also started crying, saying comforting words while crying. The one who is most troubled now is Su Weifeng. Yesterday, the girls were laughing together, but today they are crying together again. He doesn't know who to comfort. In the evening, Su Weifeng was taking a hot bath in the bathroom. He was exhausted after a day of hard work, and he felt refreshed after being washed by the hot water. Do you want to take a bath with me? Through the glass door, Su Weifeng saw Lin Zhuangxuan walk into the bedroom and teased her deliberately. I don't want to be a pervert. I'm afraid you can't help it. Lin Zhuangxuan said shyly. Well, it's hard to say. Su Weifeng scratched his head. He was just teasing Lin Zhuangxuan just now. If Lin Zhuangxuan really came, he suddenly had a picture, and his body reacted unconsciously. He quickly took a cold shower. He loved Lin Zhuangxuan deeply now, and wanted to be with her, but he would leave after all. When your injury is almost healed, I must give birth to a baby for you. Even if you leave, I will raise our baby and let him know what a good father he has. Lin Zhuangxuan was a little shy, but still said firmly. Su Weifeng smiled bitterly, not knowing how to respond to this deep affection. Maybe he would never be able to repay it in this life. At night, Su Weifeng and Lin Zhuangxuan still slept in each other's arms. There was no desire, only sincere love for each other, and they fell asleep quickly. The next morning, Su Weifeng explained to Lin Zhuangxuan that Pei Yi had to report today, and explained his plan. Lin Zhuangxuan's eyes lit up. She really needed an employee of this type. Those handsome guys didn't have that kind of taste when playing villains. Chapter 764 Special Training. The woman went to work to earn money, leaving Su Weifeng at home with nothing to do. He didn't like going to the company recently, and the company had been managed by Lin Zhuangxuan in an orderly manner. Now with Sun Yumeng and Zhao Xiaoshu, 2 capable assistants, Su Weifeng usually went there to help play games, becoming a real hands-off boss, which was also the original intention of him and Lin Zhuangxuan to start the company. He called Feng Bao to see how the matter was handled yesterday. Feng Bao complained to him, blaming him for not handing it over to the police. Although he handed it over to the police later, the police were dumbfounded. The people lying on the ground were piled up in the yard. After checking, they were all still breathing. They are still receiving treatment in the hospital. They can only make a simple record first. If they want to interrogate, they will have to wait for a while. I'll give you a chance to make up for your mistakes. Feng Bao suddenly smiled slyly. Su Weifeng's hair stood up, and he had a bad premonition. What's the matter? Su Weifeng asked vigilantly. Don't be nervous, it's a trivial matter for you. Feng Bao said. Isn't it pretending to be your boyfriend again? Su Weifeng guessed. HMPH, you don't seem happy about it. It's your honor to pretend to be my boyfriend. Feng Bao snorted coldly. No, it's an honor. Su Weifeng knew that he couldn't be serious with women, so he hurriedly said, that's more like it. Feng Bao laughed softly. What's the matter? Tell me. Su Weifeng said anxiously. He was really afraid of going to such a far place as Ka City again. The special police of our police force are going to organize a special training. I hope you can be the instructor of this special training. Feng Bao went straight to the point. Su Weifeng's heart sank. He didn't want to have any contact with the police department the most, otherwise they would always come to him in the future, and there would be more trouble. He also knew that he and Feng Bao were getting closer and closer. Things in this regard would come, and they couldn't be avoided. I can be an instructor, but the time can only be one day, and the location cannot be in your police force, which will not achieve the training effect. I will choose the location. Su Weifeng thought about it, and stated his request. No problem, it's settled. Feng Bao's eyes lit up, and he suddenly thought of his special training trip in Africa, and mourned for these special police babies in his heart. Seeing that Feng Bao agreed to his opinion so readily, he suddenly felt that he had lost, and he should have made more requests. At 5 o'clock in the morning 3 days later, the sun had risen slowly. At the edge of the Kum desert, a team of 10 people wearing desert camouflage stood in a row, waiting anxiously. Boss, what do you think of this instructor? We are the strongest team among the Yangcheng Special Police, Tomahawk. How can he train us? The speaker was a young man with a crew cut. His name was Chen Crossing, but his teammates called him Orangutan. He had a sturdy back and waist, and his latissimus dorsi was particularly developed, just like an adult gorilla. Humph, you know the families in Yangcheng. Many families have to give face to this man. The speaker had a square face, as sharp as a knife and an axe. He was the captain of Tomahawk, Fang Zheng. He was very disdainful of these families, and regarded Su Weifeng as a member of the family. That's right, a kid with a family background is our instructor. I don't know what the higher-ups are thinking, said a thin young man named Monkey. By the way, I also heard that he is the boyfriend of Feng Bao from our police force. Monkey lowered his voice again, as if secrets have to be whispered to remain secrets, even though there is no one around. The boyfriend of our female Tyrannosaurus? How is it possible that the female Tyrannosaurus actually caught up with the man? A voice said angrily. I think it must be money. How can ordinary men be opponents to Feng Bao? It's the routine of rich people. You have a serious hatred of the rich, haha. Although Feng Bao has a bad temper, she is also the policewoman of our police force. How can she fall into the hands of outsiders? That's right. That's right. We must give him a warning today, and let him know how powerful we are. The team members talked at once, and announced Su Weifeng. Feng Bao has a face, a good figure, and she is well dressed, which normal man doesn't like her. But no one can handle her. The strength does not allow it. Suddenly, it is heard that she was handled by a man who wouldn't be jealous. Moreover, this man has a family background. It's envy, jealousy and hatred. And it just happened that this family member who robbed Feng Bao and was despised by everyone came to train everyone, and the crowd was immediately excited. Su Weifeng didn't know that he had not appeared yet, but he was hated because of Feng Bao. If he knew, I don't know how he would feel. I guess he would say that I blamed him. HMPH, if you want to be our instructor, you have to show some strength. Not just anyone can train us. Fang Zheng snorted coldly and raised his fist. Boss, I'll go first. I'll challenge him and see how many punches he can take. The gorilla grinned at his sandbag-sized fist. What if he doesn't fight you? He may not dare to accept your challenge. A team member said. This is really a problem. The gorilla scratched his head. He really didn't expect it. If he doesn't accept the challenge, we will ridicule him. There are so many people here. The law cannot punish the masses. Let's see where he puts his face. If he doesn't accept the challenge, will he still have the nerve to train us? Monkey said with a smug look. You still have a way. Let's do it. Fang Zheng patted Monkey's shoulder. Wait until the gorilla can't do it, then I'll go. Another muscular man said. His name is Wang Yan. He once won the 70-kilogram championship in the provincial sander competition, but his fighting ability is higher than that of the gorilla. Yes, if Wang Yan can't do it, there is still the captain. Today we will give him a round-robin battle, a team member said. These team members were talking excitedly, ready to give Su Weifeng a head start. The gorilla was already rubbing his hands and eager to try. The other team members were also ready to watch this good show and see how this instructor with a background would lose face. While everyone was talking, a whirring sound came from the sky in the distance. Everyone looked towards the source of the sound and saw a police transport helicopter approaching from afar. Damn, it came by helicopter. Awesome. The gorilla exclaimed. What a rich man. He is so extravagant when he appears. The higher you fly, the harder you fall. Let him show off for a while. The monkey said disdainfully. The helicopter was not flying too high, only about 30 meters, and it flew towards this side at a constant speed. When it was close to the team, it still had no intention of slowing down and landing. When everyone was confused and thought they had made a mistake and that this was not the instructor's plane, a figure suddenly jumped off the helicopter and the helicopter flew straight away. Chapter 765 We Are Wolves. Super low altitude parachuting. Humph, I'm good at it. Fang Zheng snorted. But no one responded to his words because everyone's eyes widened, their hearts pounding. It's over. Someone's dead. This instructor must have forgotten to bring a parachute. Su Weifeng was seen falling upside down and down quickly. The speed was getting faster and faster. Now it was too late. Even if he opened the parachute, he was too close to the ground, and he fell heavily to the ground with a bang, and a cloud of dust immediately rose. Everyone was stunned. The instructor got a box lunch as soon as he appeared. What rhythm is this? The dust gradually dissipated, and a man was seen standing there straight, with a small pit under his feet, just below the ankle. Everyone, good morning. I'm your temporary instructor, Su Weifeng. Su Weifeng took a step forward, stepped out of the pit, came to the front of the team, and shouted loudly. For a moment, the atmosphere fell into a strange silence. Is this still a human being? Jumping down from such a high, nothing happened. Even if he didn't die, at least his bones should be broken. The gorilla and the others were still in a daze, having long forgotten their previous plan. The monkey poked the gorilla, but the gorilla did not move at all. He turned his head and glared at the monkey, thinking, you want me to die? You are crazy to challenge me at this time. Can't you hear me? Su Weifeng saw that no one responded to him, so he shouted loudly. Hello, instructor. Hello, instructor. Fang Zheng took the lead, and greetings came one after another. Only then did Su Weifeng nod with satisfaction. Today's training is very simple, just running. Su Weifeng said loudly. Ah. Special training is running. Monkey said a little dissatisfied. They heard from above that this special training will improve everyone's strength, so they all participated enthusiastically and wanted to become stronger, but Su Weifeng asked them to run. What kind of special training is there? Just find a playground to run. Yes, it's running. What? Are you all confident? Su Weifeng sneered. Report to the instructor. We are the Tomahawk Squad. Our overall quality is the best in the city. All of us can run 10 kilometers with weights, and 50 kilometers without weights is no problem. Fang Zheng shouted loudly, very confident in his team. Oh, so strong. Then good. Our event today is cross-country running, no weights. When he heard Su Weifeng say no weights, Fang Zheng smiled slightly, not taking it seriously, just running without weights. But then he couldn't laugh anymore. The target is the other side of the desert, about 100 kilometers away. There will be a car waiting for you on the other side. Those who run to it will take the car home, and those who can't run will die in the desert. I forgot to tell you that there is no supply or water along the way. Everything depends on yourself. What? Are you kidding us? Said the gorilla. Aren't you sending us to our deaths? Said a team member. The temperature in the desert during the day is at least 40 degrees. It's okay without food, but without water we will die in the desert. This is not training, this is murder. The team members were all fed up. This was not training, this was murder. It was simply an impossible task. HMPH, you useless bastard. If you want to be a deserter, you can quit now. Su Weifeng said disdainfully. Instructor, are you with us? Fang Zheng stared at Su Weifeng. Of course, otherwise how can I train you? Su Weifeng asked back. When they heard that Su Weifeng would also cross the desert with them, the voices of protest suddenly disappeared. They all thought that this man was a pervert and wanted to commit suicide and let them take the blame. But with money, power, and women, he wouldn't be so desperate. Okay, since the instructor is with us, I will accept the training. The first person to express his opinion was not the captain Fang Zheng, but Wang Yan. He came from a martial arts family and had practiced martial arts since he was a child. He practiced martial arts and learned the martial arts passed down by his family. In the team, his individual combat power was comparable to that of the captain. The scene of Su Weifeng jumping off the helicopter just now deeply shocked him. He believed that he could not do it, but the self-esteem he had developed since childhood made him unwilling to admit defeat. If Su Weifeng could run out of this desert, then he could too. With someone taking the lead, the team members expressed their willingness to participate in the training. No one wanted to be a deserter. Not bad, but let's see if you'll beg for mercy in a while, haha. Su Weifeng ran out with a big laugh. Fang Zheng led the team to follow closely, but they had never experienced desert running before. It was not only hot, but also a step-by-step, a pit at every step. It was called running, but it was not much faster than walking. Half an hour passed, and the team members were still energetic, but they had only run less than 5 kilometers, which was just the beginning. 10 kilometers later, the body and mind of each team member were strongly tested. The lungs were like a bellows, panting, and the body began to dehydrate under the dual effects of sweating and high temperature. Monkey fell down first. Su Weifeng pulled up Monkey and dragged his arm to continue running. At first, Monkey could barely move his steps, but later he let Su Weifeng drag him, dragging a long gully in the desert, and then threw him to the ground. When the others saw Su Weifeng stop, they fell to the ground one after another, panting heavily as if they had been pardoned. Now only Fang Zheng and Wang Yan could barely keep up with Su Weifeng's pace without falling down, but they were also panting heavily. Is this your strongest team? It's nothing special. Even a dog can run faster than you. Su Weifeng said deliberately. This was also a training strategy, a method of provoking the troops. We are not dogs. The gorilla said unconvinced, and stood up first. The others also gritted their teeth, and insisted on standing up. Even the monkey did the same. After lying for a while, he finally recovered some strength. He decided to go back and do some fitness. He didn't expect that he was the weakest in the team, especially in running. How did our predecessors walk 25,000 miles? Snowy mountains, grasslands, swamps, the environment is much more difficult than it is now. Do you know why they were able to persevere? It's faith, undefeated faith. Never say I can't do it. You must always say I can do it. Even if the body is defeated, our spirit cannot be defeated. Do you want to be a group of wolves who fight to death, or dogs who seek comfort and compromise? Su Weifeng shouted again. Although his voice was a little dry, he was still full of confidence. We are wolves. We are wolves. The team members seemed to have renewed their strength. They stood straight and shouted loudly 20 kilometers. It was already noon. Now except Su Weifeng, no one could run. They were all trying their best to take steps, but there was a kind of obsession in their eyes. They stared at the instructor in front of them. The image of this man rose again in front of them. Chapter 766, Key Sensation. At this time, the team members' feet had blisters, but no one cried out in pain. They all gritted their teeth and persisted, with a belief in their hearts. I'm a wolf, not a dog. Su Weifeng was very satisfied with their performance. Although they were a little weak, they still had the spirit. I just didn't know how many of them could persist to the end. It was noon at this time. The surface temperature had reached more than 70 degrees. The air was also hot. The vision was a little distorted. Suddenly, a 1 meter long lizard crawled in the distance. Catch it. Su Weifeng pointed at the lizard. Although the team members didn't understand the reason, they still chased after it. The lizard was frightened and fled quickly. Its 4 claws flew down, as if it was flying close to the ground. It disappeared in the blink of an eye. This is our next lesson. Catch a big lizard. Use your brains. Can you catch up with the lizard with your old, weak and sick legs? Su Weifeng said disdainfully. We have to hide ourselves. Only by taking the enemy by surprise can we have a chance. Fang Zheng thought for a while and said. This time, everyone slowed down and walked even more slowly. Lizards often appear in the desert. This time, when they saw a lizard, they immediately stopped and slowly lay down in the yellow sand. Even if their skin was red from lying on the yellow sand, they still gritted their teeth and persisted, slowly crawling towards the lizard. They were about to get close to the lizard, but it flew away again. Everyone was very frustrated. After trying countless times, Wang Yan finally caught one, and everyone cheered and jumped up. You have food to eat. Su Weifeng's voice came. Ah, eat lizards? A soldier said in horror. Everyone looked terrified, and obviously no one dared to take a bite. What do you think our ancestors ate? Snakes, insects, rats, ants. As long as they are alive, there is nothing that cannot be eaten. Su Weifeng said as he grabbed the lizard, took a bite of the lizard's tail, and then swallowed it in a few crunchy bites. Seeing these team members swallowing their saliva, they were scared. Seeing that Su Weifeng had already done the trick, the team members passed the lizard around twice and finally completely eliminated it. Although the lizard was a bit disgusting when eaten, it was fine after eating it, and the hunger and thirst were effectively relieved. After that, Su Weifeng took them to hunt antelopes. This was the first large animal they encountered today. This time, the team members also adapted to the feeling of eating raw meat and drinking blood, and no longer felt disgusted. With the supplement of blood and flesh, their physical strength was also restored, and they were more confident about getting out of this desert. Just before the end, they encountered the biggest crisis of this special training. A grass yellow lone wolf appeared at the end of the distance. The lone wolf seemed to have discovered them, and rushed towards them. Instructor, there is a wolf. Monkey said, his voice a little nervous. This is not a husky. Of course I know it's a wolf. Don't worry, it's a lone wolf, not a wolf pack. Go and kill it. That's your last task today. Su Weifeng said casually. Hey, let's see whether this lone wolf is more powerful or our pack of wolves is more ferocious. The gorilla was full of fighting spirit and pulled out a dagger from his waist. Put the dagger back. You are so embarrassed to use a dagger on a wolf. Su Weifeng rolled his eyes. Ah, fight with your fists. A team member said in surprise. You are not facing a human now. You still want to have a boxing match with the wolf. You are also wolves, beasts, and your whole body is your weapon. As soon as Su Weifeng finished speaking, the lone wolf came closer. Su Weifeng took a few steps and came to the back of the crowd, leaving the lone wolf completely to them. Damn, kill it. Fang Zheng shouted and rushed up with the team members. The wolf pack is terrifying, but the lone wolf is more dangerous. This lone wolf, with a life-threatening attitude, went for the neck when it saw people, which made everyone panic for a while. In the end, when 5 team members were bitten, the lone wolf was finally crushed by Su Weifeng. Su Weifeng didn't want to take action, but if he didn't take action, these team members would probably die in the wolf's mouth. He couldn't let this happen. He was very satisfied with the performance of these team members. He believed that, if he didn't intervene, the lone wolf would definitely be killed in the end, but he didn't dare to wait any longer, otherwise it would be difficult to explain to Feng Bao and the others that he killed someone after a day of special training. In fact, it doesn't matter whether you can kill the wolf or not. This is not something that can be trained in a day. He has aroused the wolf nature of the team members. In the fight with the wolf just now, even though many people were bitten, and several people almost died in the wolf's mouth, no one retreated. This is success. Before midnight, Su Weifeng led the team members to finally leave the desert. There was an ambulance waiting here. The cruelty of this training was completely beyond their expectations. Fang Zheng and his team members were sent to the ambulance respectively. Before leaving, Fang Zheng led the team members to salute Su Weifeng solemnly. Although Su Weifeng did not teach them anything along the way, they all felt that they had become stronger. It was not their bodies that were stronger, but their hearts. They had a strong heart and a wolf-like heart, which was much more important than physical improvement. A Mercedes-Benz G was running on the road to Yangcheng. Su Weifeng sat in the passenger seat and closed his eyes to rest. It was Feng Bao who was driving. You won't blame me for hurting them, will you? Su Weifeng said with a smile. What's this injury? I was hurt much more seriously in Africa. I was injured for a month, and they only had one day. They should practice more. Feng Bao said indifferently. Your special police are not bad. Although their combat effectiveness is not very good, their perseverance is very tenacious. I didn't expect that all of them could come out. I believe that this time will be rewarding for them. Su Weifeng said softly. By the way, I have found the key sense of the key training method you taught me. Feng Bao's words made Su Weifeng's eyes widen. He taught Feng Bao just to deal with it at that time. It took less than a month to find the key sense. Could it be that she is a martial arts genius? It's too late today. Let's go to my house, and I'll demonstrate it to you. Feng Bao said excitedly. Su Weifeng thought about it, and it made sense. It was already midnight. It would be almost dawn in Yangcheng. Going home would disturb Lin Zuangxuan and the others' rest. So he decided to go to Feng Bao's house. Feng Bao rented her own house, and it was convenient. After a bumpy ride, it took several hours to get back to Feng Bao's house. They both took a shower, and Feng Bao began to prepare to demonstrate the key she practiced. Okay, let's get started. Su Weifeng said, when he saw that Feng Bao was ready. Feng Bao sat on the sofa and closed her eyes. She began to concentrate and frowned. A few minutes passed, and Su Weifeng didn't feel any key appear. Chapter 767. Who is around? What's going on? I clearly felt the key, but it disappeared when I showed it to you. Feng Bao was very upset. She had told Su Weifeng confidently, but she was embarrassed at the critical moment. Su Weifeng knew that with Feng Bao's personality, if she said she felt the key, then she must have felt it. How could she suddenly not feel it? Was she too nervous to demonstrate it to him? Suddenly Su Weifeng thought of a question. Bao, how do you usually practice? Do you also sit in meditation? Su Weifeng asked. No, I usually practice lying down. After practicing, I feel that my sleep quality has improved. Feng Bao thought for a while and said. That should be a problem with your posture. When you practice lying down, you can completely relax your body, so your five senses will be more acute. This change of posture still makes your body a little tense, so your perception ability has also decreased. Su Weifeng analyzed it, and felt that this was most likely the problem. Then if I cultivate the key, I can't only use it when I'm lying down, right? Then I have to lie down on the ground to use the key when I fight with others? Feng Bao thought of that scene. It was so beautiful that she dared not look directly at it. Haha, Bao, you have a really weird idea. Su Weifeng also had the scene in his mind, and he couldn't help laughing. Seeing Feng Bao glaring at him, he quickly stopped laughing. Don't worry about this. Now you just sense the key, and there is no key in your body at all. Just lie down and practice first. When you really cultivate the key, your perception ability will naturally increase, and then you don't have to lie down to practice. But this is just the beginning of sensing the key. You are still a long way from cultivating the key. Su Weifeng said with a smile. Brother Feng, do you want to hit me like this? Feng Bao said angrily. I will definitely succeed in my practice. Feng Bao raised his fist in an instant, very confident. Feng Bao lay down on the bed obediently this time. The soft mattress made her body sink into it. Her body slowly began to relax, and her eyes slowly closed. Su Weifeng quietly observed Feng Bao's situation. After a few minutes, Feng Bao's breathing began to become even. If he hadn't known that Feng Bao was sensing the key, Su Weifeng would have thought she was asleep. Suddenly, the air around Feng Bao trembled, as if smoke rings were driven by people passing by. Su Weifeng's eyes lit up. Bao really sensed the true key. The true key is a stream of essence formed when the world was first created. It is not ordinary oxygen, carbon dioxide, etc. The reason why the true key is difficult to cultivate is that the physique of ordinary people lacks spirituality and is soaked in too many grains. Only those who have cultivated a very strong physical body have the opportunity to sense the true key. Of course, this strong physical body does not refer to muscular men. I didn't expect that Feng Bao's body could actually sense it. She is really worthy of being his apprentice. But before Su Weifeng could get too excited, a light snoring sound came. Feng Bao was also tired today. After driving for several hours, she fell asleep due to exhaustion. Su Weifeng couldn't help but smile. He helped Feng Bao cover the quilt and took off his clothes and lay on the bed. Since Feng Bao didn't have pajamas for him to wear, he had to sleep shirtless. He was used to the feeling of relaxing with Feng Bao and didn't feel anything. He even forgot that he was not pretending to be Feng Bao's boyfriend, and even forgot that there was a sofa in the living room. He just got into the quilt very naturally. Not to mention that Feng Bao's mattress was really soft, softer than the hotel. Su Weifeng didn't get used to it when he lay down, but he felt very comfortable after a while. Seeing that it was almost dawn, Su Weifeng fell asleep. The two slept until almost noon. Feng Bao habitually slept in Su Weifeng's arms. Today, she felt particularly warm and comfortable, and subconsciously tightened his arms. The phone rang, and Su Weifeng picked it up in a daze. "Hello, who is this?" Su Weifeng said, half asleep. "Is Feng Bao there?" A female voice came. "Bao, I'm looking for you." Su Weifeng hadn't woken up yet, and he handed the phone to Feng Bao. "Who is this?" Feng Bao had been up all night, and she was feeling dizzy, so she didn't even check the caller ID, and said in a daze, "I'm your mom." "Who answered the phone just now?" It was Feng Bao's mother who called. When Su Weifeng answered the phone just now, she felt something was wrong. The two people's voices were clearly in a state of sleeping, and the man's voice sounded a little familiar. She immediately remembered Feng Bao's master, and she said nervously. Feng Bao woke up instantly, her eyes wide open, and kicked Su Weifeng down. Su Weifeng was drowsy, but the kick woke him up completely. Just as he was about to get angry, he saw Feng Bao holding the phone in one hand and pointing at it with the other hand, with a nervous expression on her face. From her lip shape, Su Weifeng knew she was talking about my mother. Su Weifeng also perked up. He remembered that he had just answered a phone call in a daze and handed it to Feng Bao. His identity in front of Feng Bao's parents was her master, so it was difficult to explain. "Ah, that's my master. Yesterday I asked my master to help us train the special police, and the training lasted until late at night. We got up early to get to Yangcheng, and we were so sleepy after not sleeping all night. After parking the car, we took a nap in the car, and then went to work at the police force. What time is it now? Ah, why is it noon? It's too late. Mom will talk to you later. Let's go." Feng Bao's mind turned quickly, and she thought of a good reason as quickly as possible. It was 70% true and 30% false, and it should be quite credible. She controlled her nervousness and said it naturally. After that, she hung up the phone quickly, not caring whether her mother believed it or not. Feng Bao knew that her father could easily find out about their special training in the police force, and it was indeed almost dawn when they arrived in Yangcheng, so this should be enough to get away with it. She was not sure. Su Weifeng gave Feng Bao a thumbs up, and then got up and put on his clothes quickly. If Feng Bao's parents really came and blocked the house, it would be over. "Old man, do you think they are really in the car?" Feng Bao's mother said to her father. "I asked around. They did go to the desert for special training, and they came back almost at dawn, but whether they were in the car or not, Feng Bao's father just called an old friend and confirmed the situation, but he was still skeptical about the relationship between Feng Bao and Su Weifeng. Feng Bao also hurriedly got up, dressed and washed up. After the two had brunch, they sent Su Weifeng back to the villa and went to work. When they got home, Lin Zhuangxuan and the others had gone to work, and even Liu King and Liu Jia were not at home. They should have gone out to buy groceries. Su Weifeng was still dizzy and went back to the bedroom to catch up on some sleep. Chapter 768. Tao Tao asks for help. Don't sleep, hurry to Beijing, it's urgent. Just as he fell asleep, he was woken up by a phone call. Before Su Weifeng could speak, a cute voice said anxiously, "Tao Tao, you are spying on me again." Su Weifeng gritted his teeth and said, "Who is spying on you? You are just sleeping. You are almost sleeping like a pig." Tao Tao said without blushing or beating your heart. Su Weifeng knew that he must be spied on by Tao Tao again. This has become Tao Tao's fun, but he really couldn't refute it. One is that he is really idle. Tao Tao's statement can't be refuted, and the other is that he has no evidence, so he can only admit it. "What do you want to talk to me about? If you don't tell me, I will hang up." Su Weifeng said coldly. If you dare to hang up, I will upload your video to the internet. Teo threatened. You really peeked at me. Who peeked at you? It was your old video. I didn't peek at you recently. Teo said that he didn't have any confidence. This is a big deal. You must help me. Tao cried. Meng Keqing had said before that Tao was also a direct descendant of the family and had no right to choose her own marriage. So like her, she also wanted to develop a lover with Su Weifeng, which might be the best choice. Now Tao has passed her 20th birthday and her family has found a family that is equal to her, that is, a family marriage. As a child of the family, Tao could not join the army like Song Zinan or even join Long Xiao, so that the family could not force her to marry and she had no room to resist. Tao could only think of Su Weifeng, although she knew that this was just a desperate struggle and would not have any effect, and her family was not something Su Weifeng could fight against. Tao is also Su Weifeng's girlfriend. To be more precise, it was decided by Meng Keqing, Song Zinan, and Tao after some research. Su Weifeng couldn't bear to see Tao being forced by the family to become a bargaining chip for marriage, so he decided to go to Beijing and pretend to be Tao's boyfriend. After all, he was a professional boyfriend pretender. Without further ado, he said hello to Lin Zhuangxuan and the others and went straight to the airport. Lin Zhuangxuan also complained about Su Weifeng's frequent outings recently, but after Su Weifeng persuaded her and promised to bring gifts back, she happily agreed. As soon as he got off the plane and walked out of the airport, he saw Tao with a puffed face, waiting for him there like a bullied little girl. Su Weifeng pounced on her and hung on her like a koala. Okay, if you don't come down, the tree will fall down. Su Weifeng said with a smile, looking at Tao with a wry smile. Tell me, what's the situation with your fiancé? I can also make preparations. Su Weifeng said. Well, there's no time to talk to you in detail over the phone. Let's get in the car and talk while we are walking. Teo had just returned from another place and hadn't reached home yet. After a while, she and Su Weifeng got on an online taxi and headed home. Your love rival. Haha, I don't have a love rival. You're the one throwing yourself at me. Su Weifeng couldn't help laughing when he heard what Teo said. Ouch. Don't bite your waist. You're a corgi. Teo threw Su Weifeng down on the back seat and bit him hard on the arm, causing Su Weifeng to scream in pain. It's a love rival. Su Weifeng was a brave man who didn't want to suffer a loss in front of him, so he hurriedly said, Humph, it's a love rival. Teo said with satisfaction. Your love rival is not simple. It is said that he is from the Su family in Suching. Su family? My family. Haha. Su Weifeng was happy when he heard it. After all the trouble, he still had the same surname as himself. Be serious, I have never heard of this Su family. I checked it myself, but there is no news about the Su family on the internet. I logged into the network of Suchun from the back end, but I didn't find this Su family. Tao's face was very bad. She was very confident in her hacking skills. There was nothing she couldn't find. She wanted to cause some big trouble to the Su family through the internet to prevent this marriage. However, after a few days of searching, she couldn't even find the Su family. Her hacking skills were useless, so she had to find Su Weifeng. Could it be a liar who went to your Tao family to cheat? Su Weifeng was also curious. With Tao's level not bad, the authenticity of the family needs to be investigated. You underestimate my Tao family too much. You dare to come to my Tao family to cheat. You are really impatient to live. And I'm a big name in the Tao family. It is impossible to get me out without sufficient benefits. Tao was still very proud of her importance. Then this family is a bit mysterious. Su Weifeng thought about it, but he didn't know why. It's not mysterious, it's weird. I don't want to marry a Su family member. If I want to marry, I'd rather marry you. Tao held her head, with a bitter face. Su Weifeng rolled his eyes. What kind of fate is this? Fake boyfriend, fake marriage, and he and Qiao Yushan are also in a fake marriage. How come everything is fake? The online car hailing service soon brought Su Weifeng and Tao to a villa in the suburbs. This villa is different from Su Weifeng's villa. Su Weifeng's villa is at best a big house. This villa is completely contracted by himself, and he found a well-known foreign designer to draw up the design drawings, and then found a large domestic developer to build it. It is customized. As soon as you enter the gate outside the villa, you can see that the yard lawn is more than 2,000 square meters, and the swimming pool and golf course have exclusive areas. The main building of the villa is more like a European castle than a villa. Su Weifeng looked at Cao Cao, thinking about Cao Cao's habit of biting people, and he even suspected that this was a vampire family. "Miss San, you are back. Grandpa is waiting for you." The housekeeper at the door was a man in his 50s. He greeted Cao Cao when he saw her coming in. "Wait for me? Why are you waiting for me?" Cao Cao asked knowingly. "There are distinguished guests at home. There will be a banquet tonight. All the children of our Tao family will attend." The housekeeper was a little embarrassed. He knew that Miss Sin was the protagonist today, but as a housekeeper, he didn't dare to say anything about the marriage. "Humph." Cao Cao snorted and walked towards the hall of the villa. Su Weifeng and Cao Cao walked in side by side. The housekeeper also hurried to catch up. On the way, he looked at Su Weifeng from time to time, guessing Su Weifeng's identity. Seeing that he and Miss Sin were so close, they seemed very close, he couldn't help but frowned. "Grandpa, I'm back," Cao Cao called out as soon as he entered the gate of the villa, as a greeting. This is a rectangular hall, very spacious. There is a golden and new chair in the middle of it, and a tiger skin is spread on the chair. Su Weifeng guessed this by looking at the patterns on the skin, or maybe it is dyed dog skin. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 769, Bandit Den. From the main seat down, there are 2 rows of solid wood tables and chairs, with 2 chairs beside each table, extending all the way to the gate of the villa. At this time, most of the seats are already occupied. At this time, people are talking in low voices, and their faces are full of joy. Su Weifeng and Cao Cao walked straight to the old man in the main seat. The old man is over 60 years old, wearing a tang suit, and has a very strong body. Although he is old, he still does not feel old. He feels like a mountain standing there. Seeing Su Weifeng and Cao Cao come in, everyone's eyes are focused on the 2 of them, of course, more on Su Weifeng. Su Weifeng feels like there are dozens of ants on his body, and he is very uncomfortable. The whole hall suddenly became quiet, and the joyful atmosphere just now disappeared. Su Weifeng felt a little oppressive. He suddenly thought of a movie, Taking Tiger Mountain by Strategy, and felt like he was in a bandit's nest. "You still know to come back?" the old man in the main seat said majestically, obviously unhappy. "Who is this?" The old man looked at Su Weifeng. Although his eyes were calm, Su Weifeng felt a little cold. "This is my boyfriend, Su Weifeng." Cao Cao had always resisted her family's arrangement of marriage for her, but as a girl from a family, what was the point of her resistance? She had been hiding outside before, but this time she couldn't hide anymore. Bringing Su Weifeng back was also her strongest resistance. Under the gaze of her grandfather, she didn't dare to say that Su Weifeng was her boyfriend. Finally, she mustered up the courage to say it. After she finished speaking, she became nervous, waiting for the coming storm. Cao Cao's words made everyone in the hall quiet down instantly. They had just been guessing the identity of the man next to Cao Cao, but they didn't dare to think of him as a boyfriend. This was simply treason in the eyes of the family. "Hello, Master Tao, I'm Cao Cao's boyfriend Su Weifeng." Su Weifeng stepped forward and said calmly to the old man of the Tao family. You are quite courageous. You dare to enter my Tao family, and you dare to say you are Cao Cao's boyfriend. Aren't you afraid that you can't get out after entering?" The old man of the Tao family sneered. "I'm not very courageous, but now we live in a society ruled by law. Killing someone means paying with one's life. I don't think the head of the Tao family dares to kill me." Su Weifeng looked at the old man of the Tao family and said calmly, "Ha ha ha, what a joke. Talking about killing someone and paying with one's life in my Tao family, you are really an ignorant boy." A middle-aged man sitting near the main seat said, "He is Cao Cao's uncle, and the eldest of the 2nd generation. Tao Buai. Suddenly, footsteps were heard outside, and two men walked in side by side, one in a white training suit, and the other in a black sportswear. Brother Su, you are really a master. I'm willing to admit defeat to you. The speaker was a young man in a black sportswear, Tao Tao's eldest brother, Tao Ziyi, who was walking with the young man in white, and said with a smile, "You sit down." The old man Tao glared, and said to Tao Tao and Su Weifeng. Su Weifeng was about to speak, when Tao Tao pulled him back. He didn't know what to say, so he sat down with Tao Tao at the third table below the main seat. Young people are really hardworking. I would be satisfied if the young people in my Su family were half as good as you. Grandpa Tao smiled and said to the young man in white, "Master Tao is too modest. Brother Tao's kung fu is pretty good." The young man in white said, but his eyes were looking at Tao Tao on the chair, his eyes shining. "This must be Miss Tao Tao. My name is Su Yixio. I'm your fiancé, and you will be a member of my Su family from now on." The young man in white walked to Tao Tao's table and stretched out his hand to Tao Tao. Tao Tao frowned. Before Grandpa spoke, this man regarded himself as his fiancé. He was too domineering and strong. Tao Tao is a member of the Su family, but not your Su family. Su Weifeng knew it was his turn to come on stage. He held the teacup and took a sip of tea gently. He thought it tasted good, so he took another sip and said casually, "Get out. You have no right to speak in my Tao family." Mr. Tao was obviously angry. He had finally contacted the Su family in Suching. If the marriage was successful this time, it would be of great benefit to the Tao family. It must not fail, because of Tao Tao's boyfriend. "What do you mean?" Su Yixio looked at Su Weifeng with a smile on her face, but there was murderous intent in her eyes. "I mean, Tao Tao is my woman, and she is from the Su family. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Su Weifeng." Su Weifeng looked at Su Yixio calmly and said slowly, "Haha, it's interesting. You are from the Su family? Only our Su City Su family is the orthodox Su family in the world. The rest of the Su family are branches and low-level bloodlines. You should kneel down and call me master when you see me." Su Yixio's voice became cold, and his eyes looked at Su Weifeng coldly. "The Su family has bloodlines? This is the first time I heard of it. It just so happens that my family has a local dog named Su Yixio, which has the same name as you. You are really destined to be together." "Haha." Su Weifeng said with a smile. "Haha." Another laugh sounded, this one from a young man sitting near the gate. His name was Tao Zijian, and he was the 8th among the young generation. His laugh immediately attracted several vicious looks, which made him stop laughing and shrink his neck. "Okay, very good. You dare to insult me. Today I will show you what is a Su family's orthodoxy." Su Yixio was raised by others since he was a child. Whenever he was scolded, he would be furious. "Yixio, don't do it. This is my Su family's mistake. You sit down first. I will give the Su family an explanation." Grandpa Tao said, "Okay, since the old man has spoken, I dare not disobey, but after leaving here, my Su family will definitely not let him go." Su Yixio sneered. Everyone in the Tao family looked at Su Weifeng, as if they were looking at a dead person, and some even felt a little sympathetic, as if they saw his miserable end. "Come here, break this kid's legs and slap him 30 times. I'll spare your life for Tao Tao's sake. Who dares? Su Weifeng is my boyfriend. I won't marry anyone but Su Weifeng." Tao Tao said as she grabbed Su Weifeng's hand firmly. Tao Tao's attitude made everyone present look cold, and Su Yixio was even more angry. He had already made up his mind to kill Su Weifeng. He was moved at the first sight of Tao Tao, and was very satisfied with the wife arranged for him by the family. In his opinion, Tao Tao was already his woman, and this woman actually said so in public. Isn't this cheating on him? "Tao Tao, do you know what kind of family this Su family is? It's not an ordinary family." Tao Tao's uncle said in a deep voice. Chapter 770, Hidden Family. As a member of the Tao family, you should have heard of the Hidden Family, right? Tao Buai said. Tao Tao frowned. She had heard of the Hidden Family, but wasn't that a legend? Su Weifeng looked confused, obviously not knowing what this hidden family meant. He knew about martial arts families, and had some contact with them before. He had dealt with Nanquan, Bichu, Tang Biquan and so on. This kind of family was not a big family in terms of economy, but a martial arts family with martial arts as its foundation. But what is this hidden family? Is it also a martial arts family? It doesn't seem to be too similar. Su Weifeng's mind turned rapidly, thinking about the meaning of this name. What is a hidden family? Su Weifeng asked, when he saw Cao Cao seemed to know something. Boy, the hidden family is an ancient martial arts family, a martial artist who practices Kicken. Their power is far beyond that of ordinary people. Even if you have been a soldier, you are just an egg in front of the hidden family. Tao Buai said. He saw Su Weifeng's figure and walking posture and guessed that he was a soldier or had been a soldier. Teo, now you know Grandpa's good intentions. Let you marry a legendary hidden family, which is something that many girls in the family dare not think about. This is a great thing for you and our Tao family. Su Yixio is the elite of the younger generation of the Su family. Why do you compare with him by bringing this kid? No matter what, there is no comparison. Grandpa Tao said earnestly, as if he was doing it for Teo's good. Then I will choose Su Weifeng too. I'm already his person. It's a done deal. Teo's words shocked everyone. Even Mr. Tao was stunned. Even if they slept together, it was no big deal. Now it was very open. Tao's marriage was just a marriage alliance. Su Yixio of the Su family would not have only Tao as a woman. It was hard to say whether Tao could get the status of the legal wife, but Tao said this in public. The Su family would not marry the Tao family again, just for the sake of face. Or they could change another girl for marriage. Mr. Tao was so angry that he almost had a heart attack. You are too much. Not only do you not take my Su family seriously, but you also completely trample on it. Today, I will use your life to wash away this shame. Su Yixio could no longer bear it. His fiancée was slept with by someone else. Any man could not bear it. Master, you don't have to do it yourself. I can do it. A young man who had been following Su Yixio from a distance said. He was Su Yixio's bodyguard. Boy, my name is Su Yi, and I'm a retainer of the Su family. You have humiliated our Su family, and our Su family must kill you to regain our face. Su Yi stepped forward, looked at Su Weifeng with a gloomy face, clasped his fists, and waited for Su Weifeng to come out. Is the hidden family so arrogant? Killing people blatantly? Su Weifeng's eyes flashed with cold light, and he was about to stand up. This is my Tao family. You kill people, if you say so. You want to kill my third sister when she brings her boyfriend here. It's too much. I have always heard that the hidden family is very strong. Today I will try it. The speaker was the 8th brother Tao Zijian. His relationship with the third sister Tao was relatively good among the younger generation. Tao Zijian had a simple personality and was very opposed to the family using the third sister as a bargaining chip for marriage, but this was not something he could stop. But the people of the Su family kept talking about killing the third sister's boyfriend, and he couldn't accept it. Is the hidden family so arrogant? They control the life and death of others at will. What are you talking about? Sit down. When Mr. Tao saw that Mr. Liu Bei was going to fight with the Su family, he was immediately shocked and scolded. It doesn't matter. Our Su family has not been around for a long time, and everyone has forgotten us. Today we will establish our authority and let the world know the difference between hidden families and ordinary families. Su Yi, the lesson of this young generation of the Tao family is that the inferior blood of our Su family must be killed without mercy. Su Yixio said sternly. Mr. Su frowned. Although he knew that the hidden family like the Su family was powerful, it would be uncomfortable for anyone to hear it when someone said it to his face and establish his authority, but he couldn't offend the Su family directly. Thank you Su Yi for showing mercy and teaching this ignorant old man a lesson for me. Mr. Su said. He saw that the situation could not be saved, so he simply let Tao Zijian test the depth of the Su family. He knew that the hidden family was extraordinary, but he hadn't seen it with his own eyes. This was a good opportunity. Zhao Jian. Tao was very moved when he saw Tao Zijian stand up for him. Come on. Su Weifeng also smiled at Tao Zijian. Tao Zijian strode to the front. The hall was very wide, enough for 2 people to perform. Tao family boy, you go first. I won't kill you. Su Yi said casually, but in Tao Zijian's ears, it was completely contemptuous. Okay. Tao Zijian shouted and quickly attacked. Although he looked calm, he was also very afraid of the legendary hidden family in his heart. He wanted to strike first. Leaping forward was a turn and kick in the air. The back kick is a relatively strong attack in the leg method. If you kick the opponent's ribs, it will easily break the bone. This kind of turn and kick with inertia is more powerful. Tao Zijian also used a fierce move at the first move. When he glanced at Su Yi, he still stood there straight and did not dodge. Tao Zijian was overjoyed. This move was going to solve the opponent. But before he could be happy for too long, a piercing pain came from the sole of his foot, and his shoes suddenly opened up several large holes. Su Yi did not dodge Tao Zijian's charged attack, but punched him on the sole of his feet, coming to a head-on confrontation. This attack was obviously won by Su Yi. Tao Zijian was knocked back and flew out. With the help of others, he barely stood up while holding his legs. He gritted his teeth and tried not to scream. This time, his leg bone was broken and he was carried to the ground. Xiao Jian. Tao Tao screamed. Seeing Tao Zijian injured, she was also very anxious. Thank you, brother Su Yi, for showing mercy. Tao Buai said in a deep voice, but he was also a little angry in his heart. Although Tao Zijian was not his son, he was also a direct descendant of the Su family. He broke his leg this time. How could the Su family put his face? I'm sorry, I didn't expect him to be so weak. Su Yi looked back at Su Yixiao. Seeing Su Yixiao smiling slightly, he knew what to do. It's your turn, kid. Su Yi stared at Su Weifeng, with murderous intent in his eyes. Brother Su. Tao Tao held Su Weifeng, not wanting to let him go out for a moment. She knew that Su Weifeng could fight, but that was only the ability of an ordinary person. This hidden family was too strong. She was afraid that, if Su Weifeng really had any mishaps, how would she explain to Menkeking? Don't worry, I'm not that weak. Su Weifeng gently pulled Tao Tao's hand away and walked to the field step by step. Chapter 771 Zhao Qiang. Boy, you have offended the Su family, and I can't save you, but you dare to come out, which is commendable. Seeing that Su Weifeng dared to come out, and there was no fear on his face, Mr. Tao couldn't help but nodded secretly. Tao Tao's boyfriend is brave, no matter what else he does. Thank you for the compliment, old man, but I really can't die. Su Weifeng said with a smile, not caring about Su Yi in front of him. Boy, I advise you to say your last words quickly, otherwise you will have no chance. Su Yi said coldly, as if Su Weifeng had been sentenced to death. I won't kill you, but I will break your legs to avenge brother Tao. Su Weifeng said calmly. Come on, brother Su. Tao Tao shouted, feeling nervous. Brother-in-law, come on, break his legs. Tao Zijian shouted, and called his brother-in-law directly in excitement. The middle-aged man next to Tao Zijian was his elder. He was so angry that he slapped him on the head. He thought that this boy was too ignorant. He called Su Weifeng his brother-in-law in front of the Su family. What would the Su family think? Sure enough, Su Yixiao's face turned cold. He also had resentment towards the Tao family. He had a plan in his heart and sneered at Tao Zijian. Although Tao Tao admitted that Su Weifeng was her boyfriend, her face was a little hot when Tao Zijian called her brother-in-law. She seemed to be a little happy in her heart. She didn't care about it and soon focused on the field. It seems that you haven't recognized the situation. The gap between you and me is the gap between heaven and earth. You will know this soon, but it's too late. Then it will be your death. Come on, stop talking nonsense, hurry up. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Killing is illegal. Su Weifeng raised his hand at Su Yi and hooked his finger, full of provocation. Su Yi stared at Su Weifeng coldly and suddenly appeared in front of Su Weifeng, squeezed into Su Weifeng's arms, and suddenly exerted force on his shoulders. An explosive force was transmitted from the ground to the soles of his feet, then to his calves, and finally burst out on his shoulders. His shoulders hit Su Weifeng's chest. The target of this attack was Su Weifeng's heart. Su Yi was confident that, if he was hit, Su Weifeng would definitely die of a broken heart. He practiced the power of the bull, and the internal strength assisted the body. The force of this collision was completely comparable to the impact of a bull. Su Weifeng felt a huge force coming from Su Yi and simply did not dodge and took the blow. Su Weifeng's body retreated 3 steps and the true energy in his body surged. There was also a force on Su Yi's shoulder that invaded his body. This was the inner force, but the internal force was a level lower than the true energy and was directly wiped out by the true energy in Su Weifeng's body. With this kind of internal force, he is indeed a master. Su Weifeng lacks knowledge about the hidden family and is trying to find out more about it through Su Yi. As soon as they fought, Su Weifeng discovered that the difference between the hidden family and ordinary people is internal force. This is not the internal force of a Kigen master, but the internal force used in martial arts. Boy, you know how powerful the hidden family is, right? Your world is a well, and ancient martial arts are not what you can imagine. It won't be long before you die, so enjoy your last moments now. Su Yi had already exerted his full strength in this attack. His goal was to kill him with 1 strike, and he felt that he was hitting Su Weifeng, and he didn't lose his strength. Under this kind of attack, his heart would definitely break with 1 strike. Seeing Su Weifeng's sluggish look, he thought he was dead, but in fact, Su Weifeng was just studying the difference between internal force and true ki. Ah. What did you say? Su Weifeng was stunned for a moment and suddenly reacted and asked subconsciously. You're not dead. Su Qiao stood up at this time, looking at Su Weifeng in surprise. From Su Weifeng's expression and voice, he felt that Su Weifeng was fine, at least not in a dying state. How could I die? Were you scared? Su Weifeng rolled his eyes. How could this happen? I clearly hit him. His heart should be broken. Su Yi saw Su Qiao staring at him with a puzzled look, and he said helplessly, not knowing what was going on. Boy, come again. Su Yi shouted and attacked again. This time Su Yi no longer pursued a one-hit kill. Since this kid dodged once, he would take it step by step. Man Niu Li paid attention to his fists and quickly attacked Su Weifeng. This fist of Su Yi was different from the boxing action, but more like a bull standing up, digging hard with 2 bull hooves. Su Yi's fist shadow was like a wind and fire wheel, continuous, wave after wave. Su Weifeng felt that he was not facing a person, but a bull, who was going to pounce on him. Su Weifeng did not use his full strength, but adapted to this fighting style. At first, Su Weifeng used his arms to block Su Yi's attack, but after a while, Su Weifeng found that Su Yi's boxing had a drawback. That is, for so long, he only used the upper body to attack, whether it was with the shoulder collision or the cow's hoof. The lower limbs seemed to only have a supporting function. After Su Weifeng blocked another punch, his body sank suddenly and slid to the left, successfully getting rid of Su Yi's fist shadow. This was also because his strength was no longer inferior to Su Yi, and he fought with ease. If it was someone else, he would have been dug to death by this powerful cow's hoof. Brother-in-law, good job, keep it up. Tao Zijian's voice rang again. At this time, the middle-aged man next to him did not greet his head. The fight on the field was too intense, and Tao Zijian's words were ignored. Mr. Tao was also stunned. Tao's boyfriend was also very strong. He was evenly matched with the Su family. How could this be possible? This was far beyond the fighting power of his own family. He asked himself that the retainers of his family would not be the opponents of these 2 young men without any weapons. Su Weifeng guessed right. Su Yi was indeed not good at attacking from the lower body. He did not use any leg techniques from beginning to end, but his footwork was still very flexible. Seeing Su Weifeng hiding on his side, he quickly turned around and swept his elbow. With this elbow and the power of turning around, Su Weifeng did not confront him head-on. He was already familiar with Su Yi's fighting style. He was a power-type warrior. He was strong, but not flexible enough. His moves were mainly hard steel. In order to understand Su Yi's fighting power, Su Weifeng deliberately took many attacks. In the eyes of everyone, he should have broken his tendons every time, but Su Weifeng was alive and kicking. He was fine. How could he be like a legendary animal? Su Yi was even more anxious. He didn't expect that Su Weifeng was like Zhao Qiang. No matter how many attacks he suffered, he acted as if nothing happened, as if he had just hit someone else instead of him. Chapter 772 Draw a dragon with me on the left. What kind of physical training method are you practicing? You have good resistance to beatings, but it's useless to just take a beating. The damage is cumulative. Let's see how long you can hold on. Su Yi said disdainfully, but he was a little anxious in his heart. It's almost enough. Since you've had enough, let's end it. Su Weifeng suddenly smiled, and his smile was full of coldness. Su Yi was also shocked when he heard Su Weifeng's words. He didn't know whether it was a bluff or he really had some killer moves. His hands moved more fiercely, one punch after another, and the continuous fist shadows enveloped Su Weifeng, but there was no situation where the punches hit the flesh. On the contrary, every punch hit the empty space. This surprised Su Yi a little. Su Weifeng had obviously not been able to dodge his bull punch just now. When he was wondering, suddenly, when the old force of his heavy punch had passed, and the new force had not yet been generated, Su Weifeng grabbed his wrist. Su Yi cried out inwardly, "Not good," and then the whole person was suspended in the air. He only felt a huge force on his wrist, which was completely unable to resist. The scene in his eyes quickly swept through, and then a sharp pain came from his body, and the whole person came into close contact with the ground. "Brother-in-law, good job." Tao Zijian cheered, and it seemed that his legs didn't hurt that much when he saw Su Yi being hit. Old Master Tao and Tao Buai and others were also shocked. They didn't know what kind of throwing method Su Weifeng used to throw Su Yi to the ground. Many people in the hall had already stood up to watch, fearing that they would miss any scene. But Su Yixiao was now shocked. His bodyguard Su Yi was a retainer raised by the Su family since childhood. Although he was not outstanding among the younger generation, he was definitely not comparable to the warriors in the secular world. Even his bull-like internal force was enough to crush ordinary warriors. He saw it more clearly than others. Su Weifeng completely crushed Su Yi in terms of strength. Could it be that Su Weifeng was born with supernatural power? Everyone thought that Su Weifeng had knocked Su Yi down with some powerful wrestling skills, but then something happened that made them able to stuff eggs into their mouths. Su Yi, who had been thrown to the ground, flew up again. Left, bang, right, bang, left, right. Come on, left, draw a dragon with me, right, draw a rainbow, bang bang. Tao Tao was as excited as a little girl. Her personality was really like a child, watching the scene beat the rhythm excitedly. Tao Zijian had been helped to stand up long ago, and was moving his hands to Tao Tao's music. The young people in the hall were infected by the music and Su Yi's dance, nodding their heads left and right to the rhythm. If this was used as a dance to the song, it would definitely be a blast. Su Yi was like a human-shaped iron hammer, being swung by Su Weifeng on both sides, smashing the ground with a dull sound. Su Yi felt aggrieved, and he could not use all his strength at all. He could only barely support himself with his internal force to protect his body. However, this close contact with the marble floor gradually made him unable to bear it. The choice of the stone material for the floor of the Tao family hall was also quite exquisite. It was not an ordinary marble tile, but a thick marble slab, each of which was more than 10 centimeters thick. Therefore, there were no cracks under Su Yi's violent impact, but Su Yi was miserable. The strong action and reaction force were added to his body. After being hit like a sledgehammer for more than 20 times, his internal force that protected his body surface was finally completely shaken away. The violent impact made it difficult for him to condense his internal force. This time, he lost the protection of his internal force, and each time he was hit, he actually endured the impact force. Soon, the surface of his body began to turn red, which was caused by the rupture of capillaries, and his legs also made a cracking sound, which was obviously a fracture. "Stop!" Su Yixiao shouted, and took a step forward. Su Weifeng stopped his hand with satisfaction. This fierce battle made him sweat a little. The hidden family is really extraordinary. I hit him dozens of times before breaking his leg. It's amazing. Su Weifeng said seriously, but Su Yixiao's mouth twitched with anger. "Brother Tao, I'll avenge you. He injured one of your legs, so I'll break both of his legs." Su Weifeng said to Tao Zijian. "Haha, my brother-in-law is still amazing. What hidden family is nothing but this?" Tao Zijian laughed, and was very proud in his heart. Grandpa Tao complained in his heart. Tao Tao's boyfriend beat up the Su family. The Su family will definitely not let it go. What should he do? "You can beat my family generals, and you have some strength. I'll give you a chance. Now kowtow and admit your mistakes. I'll give you a chance. to recognize me as your master, so that you can return to the Su family with your surname, and become a family general of the Su family. Su Yixiao looked at Su Weifeng indifferently, holding his head high, as if he was facing a dog wagging its tail, and begging for mercy. But he was wrong. He thought that the Su family was aristocratic and royal family, and was an existence that was unattainable to outsiders. But in Su Weifeng's eyes, it was just a self-righteous family. He was a soldier of the country, fighting only for the country and the Su family. Haha. I can give you a chance to recognize me as your master. Su Weifeng also sneered. You are looking for death. Su Yixiao said word by word, and suddenly attacked Su Weifeng. Su Weifeng had been on guard against Su Yixiao for a long time. Su Yixiao's skills were obviously higher than Su Yi's. He kicked Su Weifeng in the face with a fierce internal force. If Su Yi's internal force was heavy, then Su Yixiao's internal force was sharp. A strong wind swept in front of Su Weifeng. Su Weifeng tilted his head back. The strong wind swept across his face and made him feel a little painful. He knew that Su Yixiao's internal force was very pure and was about to form true energy. This hidden family really should not be underestimated. Su Yixiao's kick failed, and he launched a series of attacks on Su Weifeng. His attack was not as fast and domineering as the bull fist, but elegant. It seemed light and unhurried, but the lethality it brought was huge. This time, Su Weifeng did not resist Su Yixiao's attack. He knew that, even if he would not be injured, he would not feel good. He was not a masochist, and he would not take the initiative to be beaten. Seeing that Su Weifeng was just dodging and not attacking, Cao Cao thought that Su Yixiao was a master and Su Weifeng was suppressed. He clenched his fists in front of his chest, and his fingers were a little white, for fear that Su Weifeng would have an accident. Third sister, it's okay, brother-in-law will definitely win. At this time, Tao Zijian came to Cao Cao's side, pulled Cao Cao's arm, and said that he was also a child who was not valued in this family, so he just ate, drank and had fun all day. He had a good relationship with Cao Cao, the third sister who shared the same suffering as him. Su Yi had been carried to the sidelines. He couldn't stand up anymore, and was carried to a chair. He didn't care about the pain in his legs anymore. Su Weifeng didn't kill him. His leg was just fractured, and it would take a year or two to recover after correcting the position. This injury was not difficult for a warrior to accept. Chapter 773. I said you can leave now. Looking at the graceful Su Yixiao and the dodging Su Weifeng, Su Yi's mind flashed quickly. He was a little worried. He wondered if his young master could destroy Su Weifeng. This kid was strangely cruel. Until now, he didn't understand how he lost. Compared with boxing, Su Yixiao was better at leg techniques. His leg techniques were graceful and open and closed, and he had the demeanor of master. If he opened a martial arts hall in the city, as long as he performed casually, the students who signed up would definitely be full. Su Weifeng had been learning about this kind of ancient martial arts of the hidden family from him. He felt that this kind of ancient martial arts was very different from modern martial arts and fighting. Modern martial arts are mostly based on routines, and the moves are also relatively stereotyped. They pay attention to the cultivation of internal strength, but they are more about strengthening the body. I haven't seen anyone who really practiced deep internal strength. The theory is very rich, but the actual combat ability is average. Fighting focuses on actual combat, using the strongest bones of humans, fists, feet, elbows, and knees to attack opponents, relying on the strength and speed of muscles, and personal reaction ability. The source of strength is only muscles, so the upper limit of attack power is very low. It is naturally no problem to deal with ordinary people, but for martial artists who practice, the effect is greatly reduced. And this kind of ancient martial arts is flexible and changeable in moves, not a fixed routine, and the efficiency is also very high. Moreover, the main internal force is to use internal force to assist the moves, so the lethality is also very considerable. No wonder they dare to call themselves a hidden family. This kind of force is indeed difficult for ordinary people to compete with in the world. Su Weifeng's true ki was cultivated by chance. He has not practiced internal force, but Su Yixiao's observation found that the degree of condensation of the opponent's internal force is very close to true ki. It's just that he doesn't know whether the internal force will continue to condense into true Qi or become a more condensed internal force. He can only guess now. Su Weifeng decided to take action. His martial arts were different from those ancient martial arts. Due to his profession, he mainly studied killing skills. He wanted to kill with one strike. He did not need gorgeous moves and did not pay attention to the process. He only looked at the result. Su Weifeng suddenly took action. Taking advantage of the gap, when Su Yixiao jumped up, he put his right hand together like a knife. His right hand was like a knife and quickly stabbed Su Yixiao's heart. Master, Zhao. Su Yi was shocked and was about to remind him, but unfortunately he spoke too slowly. Su Yixiao's heart was hit by Su Weifeng's knife. The whole person flew out like a deflated ball. The breath on his body was no longer full. He even spit out a mouthful of blood from his mouth. His heart was broken and painful. Come on, come on. Old Master Tao shouted loudly. He ran to Su Yixiao and helped him up. He was afraid that Su Yixiao would really die here. The housekeeper had already called the family doctor. Soon a doctor carrying a medical box and the housekeeper ran into the hall together. After some examination, Su Yixiao's heart was just hit hard and trembled. He would be fine after a rest. There was no big problem. The Su family was relieved. This was also the result of Su Weifeng's mercy, but he was still surprised by the strength of this internal force. His attack power was weakened a lot by Su Yixiao's internal force, otherwise he would not be fine after a rest. Who are you? Su Yixiao looked pale and looked at Su Weifeng with some vigilance. I'm a soldier. Su Weifeng thought about it and said, how do you have internal force? Where did you learn it? You must be the descendant of someone who defected from the Su family. Su Yixiao shouted ferociously. The hidden family Su family did have some people who defected from the Su family. If Su Weifeng was the descendant of these people, it would not be surprising that he had internal force, but this was definitely not something the Su family could tolerate. When they found the traitor, they had only one attitude to deal with him, killing him without mercy. Are you an idiot? Only your Su family has internal force, and others can't have it. Su Weifeng rolled his eyes and looked at Su Yixiao like an idiot. This time Su Yixiao was not sure. He did feel the existence of internal force from Su Weifeng's last attack, and it was stronger than his own. But now thinking carefully, this internal force seemed to be different from his own. Of course he didn't know. Su Weifeng's was true Qi, which must be different from his internal force. Okay, I will report to the Su family. You wait, I will come back. Su Yixiao suffered a great loss. He was full of energy when he first entered the world, ready to enjoy this colorful world, but the reality was so cruel. Nephew, take a few days to rest. My Tao family will give you an explanation. Tao Buai shouted hurriedly. He was a senior member of the Tao family and knew the significance of this marriage with Su Yixiao. With the support of the Su family, the Tao family will soon be promoted to a top family. There must be no mistakes in this matter, no mistakes at all. Give me an explanation. Give me an explanation and the Su family will come to ask for me. This girl is destined to be my woman, but she can't be my wife. I have never failed to get what I want. When I come back again, it will be your death. Su Yixiao changed his image of modest gentleman and said domineeringly and evilly. Looking at Tao, his eyes were full of desire. Originally, he would never want such a woman, but he just wanted to humiliate Su Weifeng and snatch his woman in front of the enemy. Su family? Humph, very good. I'll wait and see what ability your Su family has to take Tao away. Su Weifeng sneered and stared at Su Yixiao sharply. Su Yixiao felt as if he was being stared at by a beast, which would open its bloody mouth at any time. He called his servant outside and turned to go out, but a voice sounded behind him. I said you can leave. Su Weifeng's voice was full of cold murderous intent, but also very calm, just like a superior treating an inferior. What do you want? Su Yixiao said angrily. Today, the dignity of the Su family has been ignored by this kid again and again. Not only did he ignore the Su family, but now he also regarded himself as a superior. However, he really couldn't do anything to Su Weifeng now. His strength would not allow it. Your people injured Brother Tao, and the compensation is 10 million. Su Weifeng said calmly. Don't go too far. You also injured my people. Su Yixio was so angry that someone dared to blackmail the Su family. Your men were injured by me, that's what you deserve. If you dare to challenge me, you must be prepared to die. I was very kind not to take his life. He should thank me. Su Weifeng said casually, as if he was talking about something very ordinary. If you don't compensate Brother Tao, I will break your legs, and then we will be even. Su Weifeng smiled sinisterly, staring at Su Yixio's legs, making Su Yixio feel cold in his legs. Chapter 774, Leave a way for others. How can his legs compare to mine? Su Yixio said coldly. Little brother, forget it. Old 8's legs are fine. Old Master Tao said hurriedly. He changed the way he addressed Su Weifeng. From boy to little brother, he dared not ask for the money from the Su family, and hurried to smooth things over. Ouch, my legs, they hurt. Tao Zijian suddenly sat down on the chair behind him, holding his legs and screaming, but the scream was loud and there was no pain at all. Su Weifeng smiled. No wonder Tao Zijian had a good relationship with Tao Tao. He was an interesting boy. Old Master Tao had a black line on his face. He had just said that old 8's legs were fine, and this kid was putting eye drops on me, and he put a bottle of eye drops on me at once. He was squeezing me to death. Yes, how can his legs compare to yours? Your people hurt one of his legs, and I have to break both of your legs to settle the score. Su Weifeng thought about it, as if he was weighing the pros and cons, and then he said with sudden enlightenment. Haha. Haha. Tao Tao and Tao Zijian both laughed. Tao Zijian was so proud. It turns out that my legs are so valuable. They are much more valuable than the young master of the hidden Su family. Don't be too ruthless. Leave a way for others, so that we can meet again in the future. Su Yixio's heart, which had just recovered, trembled again at this moment, and almost spit out blood again. Aren't you going to kill me next time? Why do I need to leave a way? Why don't I kill you today, so as not to cause trouble for me next time? Su Weifeng said as he walked towards Su Yixio. His whole momentum became fierce in an instant, with a cold murderous intent. Little brother, don't. Old Master Tao said hurriedly. He was standing next to Su Yixio now. He deeply felt Su Weifeng's murderous aura. It was definitely not a pretense to scare people. Moreover, based on this murderous aura, this young man must have killed more than one person. Where did Tao Tao find such a bad guy? Don't be impulsive. Impulsiveness is the devil. Tao Buai also said. Okay, I'll give it to you. Give me your account number. Su Yixio gritted his teeth and said. Su Weifeng now gave him the feeling of a madman who could do anything. If he was killed by a madman for this little money, he would be laughed to death by the young people of the Su family. Su Weifeng showed the payment code, and soon 10 million was credited to his account. Su Weifeng was very satisfied. Su Yixio's heart was beating wildly with anger, and he walked out quickly with his people, but after just 2 steps, the devil's voice sounded again. Did I say I let you go? The familiar voice and the same words made Su Yixio almost vomit blood. Didn't I pay? What else do you want? Su Yixio was going crazy, and he wanted to eat Su Weifeng alive. You paid for injuring Brother Tao, and now we have to settle the business. You want to rob my woman? How do you settle this account? If I don't let you pay a price, will anyone dare to come and have the idea of taking my woman? Su Weifeng's face turned cold, and he said word by word. How much do you want? This time Su Yixio was very tactful. He was used to it. You're trying to take advantage of my woman. I'll forgive you this time, if you pay me 100 million in compensation. Su Weifeng said seriously. Tao Ziyi hadn't said anything before. The confrontation between Su Weifeng and Su Yixio had made him, the eldest son of the Tao family, no longer qualified to participate. Su Weifeng had just extorted 10 million from the Su family, and now he was asking for another 100 million. Even the eldest son of the Tao family couldn't just take out 100 million. He almost choked himself to death, because he couldn't swallow his saliva. Don't push your luck. We've already admitted defeat. You still want to kill me? Do you dare to kill me? Su Yixio was also anxious. He had never encountered such an exorbitant price, asking for 100 million right away. No, why should I kill you? Killing people is illegal. Su Weifeng said with a smile. But everyone knew that, if they said that Su Weifeng dared to kill, they would all believe it, especially Su Yixio and Mr. Tao beside him, who had deeply felt the murderous aura of Su Weifeng. This kid must have killed people, not just one or two, but he still talked about killing people and breaking the law. He didn't dare to kill people. I won't kill people, but I can break 3 of your legs as the price for your intention to hit my woman. Su Weifeng's eyes became cold again, and he felt that if Su Yixio didn't agree, he would leave and do it. Everyone in the living room subconsciously glanced at the space between Su Yixio's legs. Even Cao Cao and the women in the hall were no exception, with strange looks in their eyes, and some girls' faces were a little red. Su Yixio only felt a flash of light between his legs, and his legs trembled subconsciously. He didn't dare to gamble. If he was really useless, it would be better to kill him, and he would be thrown out by the Su family. Okay, I'll give you money, but this is the best sum, and there can't be any more. When Su Weifeng walked towards him again, he hurriedly said, not daring to delay any longer. Don't worry, I'm a conscientious merchant. I don't cheat anyone. This is the last transaction today. The coldness on Su Weifeng's face melted immediately, and he smiled and took out his payment code again. Su Yixio gritted his teeth and paid the bill. His teeth were about to bleed. This time he didn't say anything tough and left with his people in disgrace. He was afraid that if he spoke again, he would be caught by this damn kid and asked him for money again. This hero has suffered twice, and it can't happen again. Su Weifeng looked at the change in his mobile phone, and the corners of his mouth curled up unconsciously. He wanted to collect it but couldn't. He made a fortune in one go, an unexpected gain, and he was still very happy. Grandpa Su also saw the balance of change in Su Weifeng's mobile phone. Several 100 million RMB was saved in the change. Even the young people in his own Tao family would not be so extravagant. He couldn't see Su Weifeng more and more. Moreover, with Su Weifeng's skilled action of collecting money, Mr. Tao suspected that Su Weifeng had to do this many times to be so skilled, and even the change of several 100 million was extortion. Brother-in-law, can you give me some of my medical expenses? My father is too stingy. Seeing that Su Weifeng had extorted so much, Tao Zijian hurriedly approached. The mobile phone was brought over, and Su Weifeng transferred 10 million to Tao Zijian. Tao Zijian was also stunned. He just wanted to get a wedding money and 800,000 as pocket money. He didn't expect that he would give 10 million without blinking an eye. He recognized this brother-in-law even more, calling him brother-in-law all the time, and calling him more intimately. Mr. Tao and others also had a new understanding of Su Weifeng's generosity. This young man was really crazy. He treated outsiders, even if they were from a hidden family, with laughter, anger, and beatings, but he was not stingy with money for his woman's brother, and didn't blink an eye for tens of millions of RMB. Although I feel that Su Weifeng is a young man who does not play by the rules, one thing is certain, this young man cannot be offended. Chapter 775 Tao Family Attitude. As soon as the Su family left, the scene became awkward for a while. Old Master Tao was quick-witted. Since Su Weifeng could not be offended, he continued to hold a big banquet, and turned this banquet to welcome the Su family into a family banquet. The servants were busy setting up the tables and chairs. Needless to say, the banquet started soon. Su Weifeng also sat at the main table with Tao Tao. This was a treatment that Tao Tao did not usually have. Even Tao Zijian took advantage of it and sat next to Su Weifeng. This was also to avoid embarrassment and let this kid adjust the atmosphere. Brother-in-law, come on, I toast you. I have never been convinced by anyone among my peers before. I'm convinced by you today. You are simply not a human. Tao Zijian stood up and raised his glass. If I'm not a human, what am I? Su Weifeng said with a smile, not caring. You are a monster. Tao Zijian said casually, and he was embarrassed after saying it. He was worried that his brother-in-law would not be angry. Monster, haha, monster. Tao Tao said with a smile, and the more he thought about it, the funnier it became. Haha, this metaphor is true. Su Weifeng smiled awkwardly. Seeing that Su Weifeng was not angry, Tao Zijian was relieved, and drank a few more glasses with Su Weifeng. Little brother Su, my Tao Tao is your girlfriend. We would not break you up, but we cannot afford to offend the Su family. Grandpa Tao suddenly said, and he threw the question to Su Weifeng. Originally, with Su Weifeng's strength and strong means, if it were the past, Grandpa Tao would definitely beat the drums and gongs to marry Tao Tao to Su Weifeng. Where can you find such a powerful son-in-law? Even with his own strength, he can help the Tao family grow and develop without any background. But now the Su family has come out. Although Su Weifeng defeated the younger generation of the Su family, it is not so easy for this hidden family to become a legend. If a younger generation has such strength, what if a stronger one comes out? Just thinking about it makes you feel helpless. Now that the Su family is ready to marry the Tao family, this matter is not easy to deal with. Don't worry, Grandpa Su, I won't marry Tao Tao before I solve the Su family. Su Weifeng said seriously. He didn't want to marry Tao Tao. Your Tao family should just remain neutral. If the Su family comes to trouble you, you can push it onto me. I want to see what the Su family can do to me. Su Weifeng. Su Weifeng thought for a while and said, although today's incident was for Tao Tao, it was indeed caused by himself. The conflict with the Su family might be difficult to resolve. Since that's the case, he might as well take it all on behalf of Tao Tao and help others to the end. Alas, Mr. Tao sighed, wanting to say something tough, but he didn't say it after all. He tacitly agreed to Su Weifeng's words and had to remain neutral. Mr. Tao is now in a dilemma. He can't stand on either side. For the sake of the family, he has to protect himself. After a meal, the Tao family tacitly agreed to Su Weifeng's identity as Tao Tao's boyfriend. At least they will not force Tao Tao to marry the Su family. The Tao family is also ready to wait and see whether the Su family will destroy Su Weifeng or the Su family can't do anything to Su Weifeng. As for Su Weifeng dealing with the Su family, they dare not think about it. Su Weifeng was arranged to stay in Tao Tao's room at night. Is he Tao Tao's boyfriend? Tao Tao's room is different from Lin Zhuangxuan's modern style, but a two-dimensional style, with pink walls, open curtains, various figurines, and the bed is full of plush toys. As soon as Tao Tao entered the room, she turned around and hugged Su Weifeng, tiptoed, and pressed her soft lips hard on Su Weifeng's lips, pushing him against the door. Su Weifeng was shocked. How could he be kissed as soon as he entered the room? It was the first time he saw Tao Tao so active, so he wanted to push Tao Tao away. But suddenly Su Weifeng found that there was a cold liquid sliding down his cheeks. Tao Tao kissed him and cried. He felt Tao Tao's sadness at this moment, and gently hugged Tao Tao with his strong arms, wanting to give this girl a sense of security. While Tao Tao suddenly burst into tears, hugged Su Weifeng tightly, and buried her face in his arms. Tao Tao, are you so happy that you don't have to marry into the Su family? Are you crying for joy? Su Weifeng stroked Tao Tao's hair with one hand and said softly, thank you, brother Su. I have accepted my fate in this life. I know that girls in the family cannot decide their own marriages. I just want to have fun before this day comes. I will accept it when I can't avoid it anymore. I didn't expect that one day I could really get rid of this kind of marriage and no longer be used as a tool for marriage. This is something I dared to think about in my dreams. Tao Tao said, crying as she spoke. There was relief, joy, and sadness here. Now your dream has come true. You should be happy. Su Weifeng said with a smile. Thank you, brother Su. After my parents passed away, I have never felt this kind of warmth again. There is no one who can risk his life for me anymore. Although the uncles and aunts can treat me well, they are more polite and don't care from the heart. When it comes to marriage for the sake of interests, no one will ask me if I'm willing. Only you, brother Su, really care about me. You are willing to be enemies with the Su family for me. I really didn't know that the Su family is a hidden family, otherwise I would never involve you. Tao Tao was moved and annoyed. In her impression, the hidden family is mysterious, powerful, and invincible, and Su Weifeng offended an invincible enemy for him. It's okay. Now I have you to protect you. You are not alone. Su Weifeng only then knew that Tao Tao's parents died in an accident when she was a child, and Tao Tao had been growing up so lonely. She envied those children who were loved by their parents, but she didn't show it. Instead, she pretended to be strong and deliberately pretended to be heartless, just crying in the quilt. Thinking about Teo who was so clever and eccentric in front of him, it turned out that this was all her protective color, or she was used to this protective color, and it had become her own appearance. Looking at Teo, he couldn't help but feel more distressed. At this moment, he had an impulse to protect this girl and give her warmth. Su Weifeng gently kissed Teo's lips. Teo's eyes fluttered, and she began to respond to Su Weifeng. Suddenly, Su Weifeng entered a sluggish state. Teo knew that this was a special state that Su Weifeng entered because he was in love with her. Teo didn't dare to move and just kept the kissing posture. Teo was very relieved. She was originally going to develop a one-night stand with Su Weifeng. Compared with her marriage, he couldn't make the decision. Now that she knew that Su Weifeng really liked her, she was very happy in her heart. Everything was worth it. Half an hour later, Su Weifeng finally regained consciousness and felt that his injuries had recovered a little. Looking at Teo's sad expression, the muscles on his face were a little stiff, but his heart was warm. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.